Okay. Okay, so first and foremost, let me flash the order of the group presentation. So I'm not sure whether was this emailed to you all. Let me just flash it for you. Hang on, give me a while. Shift all your videos to my other screen. Okay, so here we go. Let me make it bigger. Right. So this will be the proposed order for the presentation. So very important. Every group who presents would continue to do the mock-up group session. Got it? So I say again. So after your group has finished the presentation, go straight to showcase your mock-up group counseling session. Okay, so that's what so that'll be seamless basically on that. Okay. Yeah, steady. Okay, so for each group, before you start to present, it'll be good for you to upload on the Zoom chat your PowerPoint slides. That's right. Oh, yeah. I'm assuming that Sylvia probably had emailed to you already. I'm not sure, but it's okay. So every group, before you present, it'll be good for you to upload on the Zoom chat the presentation slides as well as the transcript, so that all of us can be able to follow you along as you do the presentation, as you do the mock-up session later on. Okay? All right. All clear where we're going? All steady, yeah? Okay, good. So let me just invite the first group to take us away. Oh, good. Thanks. So Angel and gang. Angel, Denise, Haley, Yetri, and Annie. That's right. So someone can upload the PowerPoint slides and the transcript, right? And then we'll get rolling.
Actually, Lawrence, but I'm not sure how we do that.
Okay, no problem. Don't.
I sent it. Yeah.
Help out.
Lawrence, I
think
think you disable the screen sharing function.
Sorry, again. Sorry.
Yeah, the screen sharing.
You need to give us rights.
Okay, no problem. Yes. Okay. Given the rights already, I mean, from my end, there's rights for you to share screen already. I would think that you should be able to upload the slides as well. I would think so. So you try to see whether can you upload the slides. So go to the Zoom chat. See whether can you upload.
Oh.
Yeah, the Zoom chat, the Zoom chat. You see there's an icon there, right? The what you call it? The folder. I mean the square little icon. Yeah. So it'd be good for you to upload that. Your slides there. Okay. Or let me ask, okay, who is covering for me today? Out of curiosity. ESPP4.
Hey, Lawrence, Sky here.
This guy, okay. You happen, okay. Did Sylvia pass you any attachments for tonight?
Attachment, no way. Should I ask?
Never mind. Okay. It's okay. Okay, let me see. Never mind. Let me just. Okay, it's okay. I'll upload along first. Okay, thanks. Okay.
Okay.
Angel. Okay. Ken. Any group members can help her out. So upload the attachment.
Dennis, is it being uploaded?
Yeah, I think I uploaded.
Okay, I saw. Okay, so the PowerPoint slides is there. Okay, good. And maybe you can also upload the transcript as well. Since you're at it.
Okay, hold on.
Thanks. Thank you.
Well, Lawrence, I wish this was the big sweep because we got the first prize.
Yeah, man. I also wish that for you as well. How rare, right? Isn't it? How rare for you to kena, wow, and you wonder, for all things, you kena this first prize. It should be other things, right? true lah, true lah. I agree with you. Sometimes you wish you can come in first for other things, except for this. Yeah, that's true. Okay, steady. Let me take a look. Okay, yeah.
Lawrence, hold on now.
No problem. Take our time, Denise. Yeah. As you can see today, I'm super relaxed. Right, yeah, because wow, I should split my lecturing fee with all of you, man.
Yeah, Lawrence, I uploaded the transcript already.
Ready? Yes, I saw. Thank you so much. Okay, good. So whenever Angel's group is ready, you can take it away. Okay. Yep.
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks,
All right,
Lawrence.
man. Steady. No problem. All yours.
So well, the screen is okay, Lawrence. We don't. Oh, okay, there we go.
There we go. That's right, man. Sweet. Can. So you can do it on full screen. That'll be good. Oh, the full screen, the full screen feature. That'll be great. Yeah.
Let me figure out.
No problem. So you go under
Full
slideshow,
screen.
slideshow. Tio.
Oh,
Sweet. Yes, got it. Yes, nice. Okay, take it away.
Good evening, Lawrence and class. The following is our group PowerPoint presentation, which consists of myself, Angel, Annie, Dennis, Gayatri, and Haley. We're going to talk about the efficacy of group counseling in Alcoholics Anonymous, otherwise known as AA, and the 12 steps towards recovery. In our research, we found that alcohol-addicted use in Singapore increased from 4.3% among men and 0.8% among women in 2015 to 9.6% of the population in 2016. That is just in 1 year. And when the pandemic started in 2019, it did not help, as statistics have shown that there was more drinking among individuals in Singapore during isolation. There was also a stipulated vast increase of individuals drinking for daily escape because they're not able to go about their daily routine. In Singapore and also in the US, alcohol addiction is the primary issue causing mental health problems affecting a large population of individuals. Youth in school and individuals at work, not just during the pandemic, use alcohol as a way to celebrate and unwind. The so-called liquid courage allows individuals to manage their anxiety issues. The adversity of mental health issues without suitable treatment measures leave individuals using alcohol as the best option. And as a result of this, it affects the lives of their family and close friends. I'll now pass over to my team member, Annie, to talk about why group counseling is effective in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Thank you, Angel. Well, our group have researched on this topic and we have come out on 4 pointers that why group counseling is effective in AA. Point number 1, group counseling allows individuals who are unable to express themselves to relate with individuals suffering from similar alcohol addiction and share similar goals. Well, counseling in a group is a wonderful way to support and receive support. Group counseling provides a platform for the addicts to talk about their individual experience and opinion without being judged. Point number 2, group counseling offers a safe and stable environment for individuals, teaching the best way to resolve their shared addiction. It also provides a platform for encouragement from other group members who suffer from similar situations to practice healthy behaviors and relationships, which may enhance their chances of recovery. Well, when the addicts can connect with one another whom they can relate, they are more likely to learn new ways to deal with their problems and be more willing to take advice from the others. Point number 3, Group counseling helps individuals to identify that other people also suffer from similar issues surrounding their addictions. They can share similar family struggles or relationship issues that can help them deal with the issues better. Well, just knowing there are other people in your community that suffer from the same issue as you do can be a very powerful tool in recovery and overcoming life's obstacles. Last point but not least, group counseling also gives individuals suffering from a common theme a different perspective of the way they look at their suffering. Many times the alcohol addicts will adopt tunnel vision thinking because of their need to control. But in group counseling setting, they will be exposed to others' opinions and start to reflect on their own thinking. Above are the few pointers that my group has researched on, and I shall pass it on to Dennis to present on the 12 steps of AA.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there's 12 steps to Alcoholics Anonymous. So the 12 steps of AA involve counseling sessions of 3 to 15 individuals in a group, and it takes about 1 to 2 hours to avoid members losing focus. Okay. So total there's 12 steps. So step 1 will be to admit the powerlessness over one's addiction. By being able to accept the existence of their addiction as a problem, create grounds to receive help from family, friends, and also professional. So it's always very important for the step 1 for the addict to be able to admit his own inability over one's addiction from there. So it actually helps them to be able to accept the existence of this addiction that is a problem that create ground to receive help from the people around them. So for step 2 is to believe in the higher power. So maybe God, a psychologist, or a group leader. So the ability to believe in another individual to offer guidance or help to increase an addict's belief in themselves on their journey to sobriety. So followed by step 3, allowing the higher power to create a plan and set measures in motion for a smooth journey ahead for these 12 steps of AA. So step 4 will be taking inventory of the behaviors that influence their need for alcohol and inability to stop their addiction. Followed by step 5, admitting to the higher power, maybe a psychologist or group leader, the negative nature of their addiction. So it's important for them to know that the addiction actually bring in all these negative things around them. So for step 6, being ready to accept corrections of their defects from the higher power. So the remaining steps, I will actually pass it on to Haley to share with us.
Thank you, Dennis. So in step 7 of AA, a request is made to a higher power to remove things causing their alcohol addiction relapse. In this step, addicts in recovery ask God or a higher power to remove character defects that they have identified and accepted in previous steps. In step 8, addicts list out their wrongdoings, including the people that they hurt, and make attempts to amend these wrongdoings. This step gives addicts the chance to grow and improve their relationships with their loved ones, which will help with going forward in their recovery. In step 9, the addicts make amends directly to the people they hurt through their behavior, but they make sure they do not cause more pain when making contact. It is a step that has to be taken regardless of the consequences. In step 10, taking personal inventory and admitting to improve behavior. Personal inventory refers to emotional disturbances that could be triggers for an addict to relapse. Developing a sense of responsibility helps a recovering addict in their journey. In step 11, seeking help through meditation or prayers to form healthy connections and attain enlightenment. Clarity of one's mind help provide hope for a recovering addict. This step helps guide addicts in moments of imbalance or confusion. For many, it is self-reflection, and for others, it is asking a higher power for guidance. In step 12, abiding by all 11 steps allow continuous recovery for an addict and strengthen the sobriety process. Step 12 calls for addicts to carry the message to others by sharing experiences, hope, and strength, while also practicing these principles they have attained in other aspects of their lives. So these are the 12 steps, and now I'll pass it over to my groupmate Gayatri for our conclusion.
Thank you, Haley. So for the final takeaway, there is a clear need for counseling with a multitude of mental disorders and mental health issues that are prevalent today. Group counseling, therefore, is excellent in allowing individuals to curb their problems through a shared medium of other people with similar problems and usually from different walks of life. That helps them to eliminate their issues in a different light and a different context. In addition, the dependence and belief in a higher power and the support of a psychologist are excellent in supporting an alcoholic's sobriety process. The 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous help alcoholic addicts introspect their problems and accept their issues and find resolutions through interactions with fellow addicts and drawing inspiration from talking with them. Being in a group with shared struggles not only helps the addicts to feel less isolated, but also gives them this individual acceptance that they seek to move forward. In addition, group counseling further enhances their overall self-esteem and motivation to help them come out of their addictions. Even though the 12 steps can be very effective in making addicts understand themselves and alleviate pain to a certain extent, it is very crucial for addicts to be radically honest with themselves to make amends for their intoxicated actions and also to make a self-inquiry as to why they seek certain addictions in the first place. And with that note, we end our presentation here. Thank you, everybody.
All right, well done. Thank you so much for taking us through, introducing to us the 12 steps. For those of us who are not that aware, this is actually a very, very tested and proven program to help, especially AAs, Alcoholics Anonymous, to help alcoholics to be able to move towards abstinence or even reduction. Good. Okay, over to the group mock-up session. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
The transcript, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So you all can, yep, that's right. So you can share the transcript, and then of course, then you all can take turns to actually take us through the transcript. That's right. Cool.
Are you all able to see?
Yep.
We're able to see. No problem. Thanks.
So I'll start.
Okay, go
So
for it.
what- So what would the group like to share about themselves today?
I'm Dennis, and I'm here today because I'm feeling some unhappiness with my current lifestyle. I'm a banker, and you know what working in the bank is like. I'm in the customer service department, and every day I have to deal with different people, whether I like it or not. So it's so stressful. And on top of that, I have to deal with my supervisor who does not really understand what I'm going through. So in order for me to unwind and not think about all these issues, I actually started drinking.
Wow, Dennis, sounds like you have a lot going on at work and you need to release some of the stress that accumulates in your job. Does anyone else experience stress in their lives like Dennis?
Well, my name is Annie. I was a public servant turned homemaker. I have 2 children, 20 and 21. And I turned to alcohol 3 years ago to cope with the stress of looking after my ill daughter. Well, when I was working in the public sector, I felt everything was all right. But you know, when I became a homemaker, I started to feel low self-worth and started to experience identity crisis and ask myself this question every day: who am I? I felt so lonely internally, and in order to ease my loneliness, I started to drink on an ad hoc basis. And before I knew it, I was addicted to alcohol. I went to another support group last year, and I thought I was on the road to recovery. but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I think I have a relapse.
It sounds like the role change in your life made you question who you are. And it is really encouraging to hear that you made a tremendous effort to be in a support group last year and had some positive momentum. But the COVID situation really did not help. It must be hard to cope with the stress of that and looking after an ill daughter. And like Dennis, you too need an avenue to release this. It does seem, Annie, that you're not ready to give up on your recovery journey.
Yes, but I feel terrible because it seems like all my past effort in stopping the addiction are wasted.
This pandemic sure has not helped. Who else is finding the pandemic a struggle?
My name is Haley, and I am a part-time student, and I work in the food and beverage industry to support my education. During this pandemic, I am not able to work and thus have no income to support my studies. It has caused me lots of stress, and because I am stuck at home, I turn to drinking to help cope.
The pandemic has really made it hard for people who are out of work and cannot get a steady income. Haley, can I ask how you get the means to buy your alcohol?
Well, at first I used up my savings that I had put aside for my future, but recently I have started borrowing money from family and friends. And this has left me feeling worse as I can't see how I can ever return the money.
Yes, money has been a big source of stress for me in supporting my alcoholic addiction. I now have gone deep in my savings, and the people around me are starting to avoid me as they don't want to be responsible for my drinking. I am in the consulting business and provide services for large corporations. But due to the pandemic, large corporations are cutting costs, and I have lost many of my big clients. Hence, I don't have a steady income flow.
Alcohol in Singapore is not cheap too. So despite drinking being very expensive, I find comfort in it and I'm willing to spend my savings on it too. So most of my income is spent on buying alcohol and drinking at home. I know this is not healthy and I'm trying hard to stop, but I just can't seem to.
For me, as I am no longer working, I have been using my husband's credit card to pay for my addiction. I feel so bad. And he has confronted me on many occasions and we get into a big fight. He does not understand what I'm going through being at home and look after our daughter.
People avoiding you makes you feel isolated, Gayatri. And it seems that money is a big issue here in supporting all the alcohol habits.
Yes, and the more I drink, the more I have to borrow from family and friends, and I feel embarrassed, and now I am just sinking into a dark spiral.
I can see how frustrating this situation is for each one of you. And I would like to explore a little about your feelings around the people around you about being in debt.
It is not a good feeling and I can't face my husband because I want to be a good partner and responsible mother. I really hate the way my daughter looks at me when I'm drinking. But the drinking really makes me happy.
Yes, the looks when my family gives me embarrasses me, and it makes me want to lock myself in my room and drink because it makes me happy. I really do hate how my drinking makes my family feel around me.
It seems you both really care about your families and really want to find a way to enjoy your company around them.
There's nothing I want more than my family being proud of me. And at the moment, I'm a long way from feeling that.
Yes, Dennis, I can see your family means a lot to you too, and you really want to make them feel proud. I would like to ask the group, what are some of the things you think you can do to make yourself feel more comfortable around your family?
I suppose I can put in a little more effort with family activities instead of being in my room all day and turning to my bottle for company.
I used to enjoy knitting large blankets and could pick that up again. One of my daughters has asked me many times to teach her, and I think I could pass on something I know to her. That might bring my spirit up and makes me not feel so demoralized.
Those are really great ideas, and I can really see how you want things to change for yourselves. How about you, Hayley?
I'm really great at math, and seeing I can't do much with my restaurant job, and instead of sitting around and feeling sorry for myself, I suppose I could source for some online tutoring platforms and tutor kids online. I'm sure there's a demand for that with this pandemic.
I must say, maths has never been a strong subject of mine, and I always respect anyone who is great at it. I definitely love the idea of you offering your expertise to young children who need it.
Inspired by everyone wanting to do something to change, and feel I too want to explore something to relieve my stress at work. I don't think I can change the stress at work at the moment, but I have a few colleagues who love rowing. I think I might form a dragon boat team and go rowing together. It may release some of my stress at work and also form a stronger bond with people at work.
That is a brilliant idea, Dennis. Seeing we are now allowed in groups of 5 for activities, and Dragon Boat really sounds fun. It is really admirable that you're taking steps to change your situation at work. All right, group. I think I'm really happy with where our group is at this present moment and would like to end the session here today. Thank you all for sharing today openly about your feelings, and would like for us all to take where our thoughts are at the moment, and we can discuss next week where this has taken us in terms of our feelings.
All right, thank you so much. Group 1, well done, well done. Yeah, it was a very, okay, first thing, let me just give a quick comment. I really like each member's story. I felt that there was a lot of thought that was put into making each member's story very personal, right? And I think it was very much Singaporean in many ways, I felt. And I really like the emphasis on the pandemic. What's true? The pandemic really led to a lot of addiction that's going up. I mean, what else can you do when you're stuck at home? I mean, naturally, those of us who have addiction issues, that will just become worse and worse and worse. So I really like the spin of adding the pandemic to make it even worse. So I think that was very good, very well done. I also like the attempts made by the group to zoom in and out. So those are great. And also a very nice combination of all the different category of techniques. So well done, well done. Yeah, good. Okay, great. Group 1 set a very high bar for all of us. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the second group. To set even higher bar for the rest of us. Okay, second group. Let me just show a second group. Okay, you all know who you are, right? Let me just,
Yes, give me a moment to upload.
no problem, no problem. Go for it. Second group we have yes, the 4 musketeers.
Yep.
Yes.
Let me give me a moment to upload.
Okay, go for it.
So just FYI, because we put our transcript inside the slide also, so I will just continue
Okay.
on. Yeah.
Sure,
just
no
continue.
problem.
Yeah.
Can. Yeah. So kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Oh, not bad, not bad. Very good. Steady. Very good.
Okay. Sorry, it's uploading right now. So okay.
Nice. I saw it already. Okay, so it's there already. Nice. Let me download that. Wait, give me a while while I download it.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, group. Where did it go? Yes. Okay. Group 2. Give me a second. Let me just type something out.
Okay.
Okay. Good. I'm there. Okay. Okay, over to you. Group 2.
Oh, okay. Yes. Hello. Hi everyone. So today we'll be covering effectiveness of group counseling in resolving childhood trauma. My group members are Mira, Terta, and Jia Yi. So The agenda is basically introduction. So this is what Jia will be covering, research, which is what I will be covering, effectiveness, which is what Mira will be covering, and the conclusion where Tata will come in. So over to you, Jia.
Hi. So a brief introduction on what is childhood trauma. So childhood trauma is often described as the experience of an event by a child that is emotionally painful or distressful, according to the National Institute of Mental Health. So this can varies from one-time events such as witnessing a car accident, or in other words, also a prolonged experience like a sexual abuse or even physical abuse faced at home. Typically, according to research, there are 10 types of childhood trauma. However, childhood trauma experienced between 0 to 18 years of age. However, what we will focus on today is this 3 abuse. Reason being, one of the statistic we found on MSF, it has shown that the abuse cases have hit the highest in a decade, mainly due to like public awareness raised in family violence that help generate more referrals, or even like COVID-19 has impacted the increased chance of conflict at home that force like families into tight quarters. So therefore, we chose what we choose, which is physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. Just to give you guys a bit of understanding on the types of abuse, first we have physical abuse. Usually it's the act of harm result in injury intentionally or even unintentionally. So it can be hitting or beating a child, kicking or tying a child up. One of the commonly experienced in family culture is using spanking as a form of punishment on children that can also be considered as physical abuse. Moving on, we also understand a bit on sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is any sexual act that can be carried by an adult to a child in the presence of a child, that can also include physical or non-physical. Physical molestation, touch, direct touch. Non-physical can be sexual conversation through a phone, or like, masturbation in a child's presence. Lastly, we have emotional abuse. Emotional abuse are usually more into verbal abuse, leading a child to believe that they are unloved, worthless, or only worthy when meeting the demands of an adult. Commonly in a normal settings in Asian culture, maybe it's more of setting very unrealistic expectations. You have to top the school to get some awards. So having understand all these 3 types of abuse, we further understood the impact of childhood trauma. So childhood trauma usually, I guess we also concluded from this research conducted from 9 clinical professionals, is divided into 4 pillars. However, the most important one is low self-esteem, commonly shame, depression, anxiety, etc., that leads into false self-image, social support issues, or intergenerational trauma. So if you were to see in the following slides, we will actually be focusing a lot on addressing the low self-esteem issue for childhood trauma. One of another findings that we actually research on is the impact of childhood trauma, the exposure of trauma in developmental timing and its association with depression and PTSD in adulthood. So if you were to look at this table, essentially, moving on to the next slide, essentially, the levels of depression or PTSD are actually higher when you are exposed in the early childhood as compared to someone who are exposed to this in the later childhood adolescence age. So therefore, we decided to focus a little bit more on understanding what are the issues, and also what are the group therapy approaches that can we use for this research. Over to Jarin.
Yep. Yeah, so what group therapy approaches can we use based on research, right? So right before I jump straight into like what approaches, right? So just to give a little bit of a context. So while majority of children are adaptable in most situations, trauma exposure would increase the chances of mental health problems such as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and PTSD, depression, and anxiety. So based on what's listed on the National Child Traumatic Stress Network website, there are actually several kinds of interventions / treatments that can apply to various trauma types. So for example, over here, there is physical abuse trauma type. So an intervention that we can look at is probably like target, trauma effect regulation, guide for education and therapy. But because we are focusing on the 3 different kind of trauma types, we looked at TFCBT, which is trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. So why this specific therapy, right? It's because for children themselves, the group format often promotes a sense of shared experience that destigmatize the feelings of shame that many children impacted by personal experience. So if there's a group setting where people can share about like their experiences, children in this case feel a bit more safer to share. So it doesn't just affect the individual themselves, which is the children. It also affects the caregivers. So for caregivers, it also encourages them to share like constructive coping mechanisms or like coping platforms for them to report to each other, what are the successful skills that they have implemented outside of the sessions. Yeah. So how does this treatment work? So usually you would have agendas planned to best accommodate all participants because they're also different, right? So generally there are 3 kinds, which is the stabilization or skill building phase, the trauma narrative and processing phase, and the integration and consolidation phase, which spells out to practice. So for example, in such activities, right, what these activities might look like is actually like psychoeducation about the trauma that they face, and even about TFCBT, and maybe more like relaxation programs, relaxation activities, or even like games, because they're still children, so you need some form of like activity to engage them, right? So moving on, handing this over to Mira. Yep.
Thank you, Jareen. I will be explaining on the effectiveness of trauma-focused group therapy. Relating to Jareen's slide, we have found a case study that was done in Zambia for orphans and vulnerable children, OVC, where lay counselors was to compare the effectiveness of TFCBT to standard care. The therapy was based on trauma and stress-related symptoms shown by the participants. The results were tremendous. The trauma, as you can see from the slide, the trauma symptom score decreased by 81.9% among those who received TFCBT, a statistically significant greater reduction than the 21.1% reduction in symptoms among those who received standard care, resulting in an effect size of 2.39, which is a large effect. Therefore, TFCBT in Zambia has a great reduction in trauma and stress-related symptoms. However, the improvement was not much in functional impairment among OVC. Moving on, we also found another case study that was took from the Journal of Psychiatry 2002, which is not related to TFCBT, but it is still under group therapy. A group therapy was conducted for 83 adults with childhood trauma and distributed into 11 groups participated in 12-week group program. I'm sorry. General linear model analysis was used for this study, which was done by trained professionals, and the results shows that there was a reduction of trauma symptoms on 7 out of 10 clinical scales of TCI. Next. To back up our previous case study, we have taken another case study that was published in the Journal of BMC Psychiatry. The participants who participated in group cognitive behavioral therapy, which is CBT, experienced 57% significant improvement and recovery from depression. Elements that impacts an efficient group therapies are experiment with latest ways of communicating with people to see which ones works best for the clients, recognize and communicate in the present moment, raise questions, and converse with the member of the group. For instance, in a group when a teen is having a similar experience with another teen, they can support each other and give feedbacks, which allows them to learn new coping strategies. Finally, our takeaways based on Kaylee L. Callahan's Journal of Group Psychotherapy is when participants improves, the group improves as well. As participants improve, so does the group as well. They can be change agents for one another. Seeing how others are coping and feeling better can help group members realize that they too can cope and feel better. Group therapy is also advantageous for psychologists because it allows them to observe relational patterns. Patients reveal their problems through interactions with other members rather than relying on the accuracy of self-reports. The group setting provides the therapist with more data to observe. Over to Tirtha on the conclusion.
Thank you, Mira. Hi, I'm Tirtha. As we have presented earlier, in summary, childhood trauma is the consequences of overwhelming negative experiences that a child went through during their childhood, which is currently affecting them physically and mentally. Based on our research and finding as presented by our team, the case studies have shown that group therapy has proven effectuous results in improving childhood trauma-related symptoms. Individuals will benefit from group therapy as it provides a safe, nurturing, and non-judgmental environment to share and relate to other individuals that allow members to share and learn coping strategies. However, it does not resolve the entirety of the problem that the client is suffering. That being said, therapists plays a vital role to enhance effectiveness of group therapy that will need to ensure equal attention is given to each member. In a case where individuals had adverse and serious symptoms such as suicidal and depressive thoughts, it is critical that therapists identify and recommend individual to another therapist who would work closely to regulate their frame of mind. Hence, in conclusion, individuals are encouraged to participate in a group therapy section to experience a nurturing space for resolving trauma issues.
Yep. So moving on.
Right, move on. Good. Continue.
Okay, cool. So yeah, moving on is our group counseling workout session. So for clients, is childhood trauma, teenagers aging range from 13 to 20, female suffers from childhood trauma of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. So yeah, maybe is it okay if I jump straight to transcript since, or do you want me to? Okay, yeah. So just to give a brief overview of who these individuals are. So for Jia Yi, she's going to cover Jamie, which has in this case she'll represent physical emotional abuse. For Mira is Melanie, she'll represent sexual abuse, while Tirtha will represent Kelly, which represents physical and sexual abuse. Yep, and I'll be the group counselor. So I'll start. Hi everyone, shall we begin the session by introducing each other?
Hi, I'm Kelly, 17 this year. I'm here today because I was referred by the police to the social worker.
And can you share a bit more on why the police referred you here?
My best friend found bruises on me and I told her it was my stepfather. I didn't want to make things worse, but she went ahead and reported to the police.
Your friend reports to the police because she wants to protect you.
Maybe.
I see. And what about the rest?
I have a similar experience like her, but it was my teacher who reported to the counselor in school when they saw bruises and cigarette burn mark on my arm.
How do I address you? And did they eventually find out who did that to you?
I'm Jamie, 15 this year, and yes, it's my stepmother. I probably deserve it as a punishment since I do not do well in school. I thought it's normal for everyone. Sometimes I get lazy and don't clean up the house, and she comes back home really angry and starts throwing things on the floor to make me clean it.
My stepfather likes to throw things around the flat too when he comes home from work. I get super scared.
Me too. Sometimes I don't know what else I can do to keep her happy. It just feels like my presence makes her angry.
It seems like you both are feeling scared of being at home. Seems like you have the same feeling with them. Do you want to share what you are feeling right now?
I'm Melanie, 13. I'm scared of my mother's ex-boyfriend. I feel dirty and ashamed of myself whenever I think of him touching him.
I see that you are deeply saddened and feel embarrassed when you talk about him.
Yeah, I feel so stupid for believing him. He asked me to take off my clothes to check if I was going through puberty. It hurt so bad, and I had no choice but to tell my auntie about my pain and learn that I was raped.
I know how you feel, Melanie. It's not easy to get out of this feeling, and I'm sorry for how you're feeling right now. I was violated by my stepfather one night when my mom was sleeping. He warned me not to tell my mother, otherwise he will divorce her. I don't want to be the reason for my mom's heartbreak. I only want her to be happy.
Thank you, Kelly. Yes, I didn't want to wreck my mother's relationship with her boyfriend and disappoint her.
So feeling like it will be your fault if you say something to an adult?
Yes, I would say that.
Well, yes. And if I didn't tell my auntie about it, my mother will not be sad now.
Jamie, what about you? Do you feel the same too?
I was not sexually assaulted, but yes, since my mom left us, my dad has been in despair and working a lot to provide for us. I don't want to stress him more, I guess. My stepmother just wants the best for me.
What do you think is the best that she wants for you?
I don't know. Maybe I didn't meet a standard performance in school or do what a child should be doing, like cleaning the house. She always told me that my dad wished for me to top the school and calls me stupid for not scoring all A's in school. Maybe I deserve all the punishment since it pushes me a little more. Now it just feels like my dad is more stressed knowing what she did to me.
My stepfather calls me stupid when I didn't do well in school too.
I would like the group to pause for a moment. I sense a feeling of shame in the group.
It's strange how I feel the same too. I feel so stupid for wearing 2 layers of clothes at night, hoping that he doesn't come in my room. It would have been easier for my mom if I was not born.
Your mom would be happier if you were not brought into this world.
Yes, I think so.
Where is the rest of the group with what Kelly just shared?
I sometimes question my existence since my mom left us. Like, did she leave because of me? But I also really love my dad and wanted to be there for him.
Looking at how everyone is sharing their trauma experiences made me feel that I am not alone and belong.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel that I should not bother my dad on this matter as I don't want him to be too stressful.
Now, may I have permission from all of you to give my piece of advice on this matter, please?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
You all love your parents so much. At the same time, you think that it would be easier for your parents if you were not born. Have you ever considered what if your parents never thought that way?
Maybe, it is a situation of dealing with the consequences of bringing us to this world.
Me? Bringing me into this world?
Yeah, they are facing the consequences for giving birth to me.
My mom loves me a lot. She always tried to spend time with me whenever she has some free time. But I allowed this to happen, and now she's sad and disappointed. I don't know how to face her.
My mom is now working on divorce with my stepfather.
Mm-hmm. Jamie, what about you?
I feel the same as Kelly, and also losing my mom was already painful. I just wanted to be there to support my dad. I didn't want to make anything worse for him.
I see. Do you think he ever regretted bringing you into this world then?
He never said that specifically, but my stepmother told me I was a burden, that he had to work hard to provide for me. I feel so sad.
You feel sad. Yeah. Okay, we are getting close to the ending, and I would like to summarize on our first session today. We have explored on the feelings of shame and low self-esteem. We also clarified that you are not alone in this and feeling at fault is something we should work on. As a start to the program objective, I would like all of you to list down the 10 things you think you are good at, and we can exchange with the group next session. The end.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence and schoolmates. Our
All right, well
presentation has
done.
ended here.
Well done, well done. Quick comment from me. I really found the presentation part to be very solid. Why do I say that? It was a very nice combination of stats being shared. Why stats is so important for that part is because the stats really let us know about the extent of the abuse that our young is going through. So I don't know about you. I always believe that stats do tell us a lot about what's happening. It's only when we become more aware about how extensive that is, I think that's where we can begin to take it more seriously. And I really liked how this group actually brought in research to back up what you guys are doing. A tip, trauma-focused CBT is my good friend's area. So later on, if you were to go on to be under him for further training, you can ask him about it. Really. Yeah, this is an area that he's pretty good in. So you can ask him more about it. But anyway, so I think, so that was for the presentation. I thought very well done. I think for the transcript, yeah, I almost teared at certain portions because I felt that the stories, once again, was very personal, very gripping. It represented a lot about how our young children might be going through as they go through different abuse. So well done, group 2. Well done. Yeah, so yeah, well done. Good. Yeah. Okay, group 3.
Hi everyone, I'm just loading the files. Give me
No
one
problem.
second.
Thanks, YJ. Let me see. Yes, Steph. I saw your hand. Yes, go for it.
No, we're raising our hands to get ourselves up on the screen.
Oh, okay, Roger, go. I'm so used to you raising your hand.
Keep
In class,
yourself.
I thought you have a question for me. Okay, let me see. Okay, good. Thanks. I saw the transcript. Okay, good. Thank you so much, YJ. Let me just download. Give me a second, okay? Just download it. Okay, this is group 3. Okay, that's the transcript part. And then this is the PowerPoint. Okay, good. Thank you so much, YJ. Over to you. Let me see. Jeremy, you got a cross. Something happened. Okay, Okay,
I don't know how to remove it.
Oh, never mind. It's okay. I thought something happened. Okay, again. Okay, over to you, YJ.
Thank you. Sorry, I need to see how to share my screen.
So there's a green color button, right? It's all right.
Yeah, but my PowerPoint is not showing up in one of the screens. Hang on.
Oh, okay. Can.
Sorry.
Hey, Jeremy, I saw your hand. No, okay, can Okay, good. Oh, you're just indicating that you're about. Okay, good. Okay, I'll do.
Sorry, let me try to do PDF because I cannot open the.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, can see.
Okay, hi everyone. This is YJ. I just want to start by saying well done to the first 2 groups. That was really good. Great benchmark. So hopefully we can live up to that expectation too. My group members here are Jermaine, Jeremy, Judith, Steph, and myself. I asked them to raise their hands, so they're not actually asking a question, but they're just part of the group. So our topic was that we picked was the effectiveness of group counseling for adolescents with eating disorders relating to poor body image. This was something that we found to be quite close to all of our hearts. So hopefully we do it some justice. I'll be doing the introduction and then I'll pass it on to Jeremy and Jermaine to talk you through some of the research that we found, the studies around group counseling for this topic. And then Steph and Judith will talk you through the particular program that we found and the different sessions that were involved. Yeah, and then I'll come back to the conclusion to wrap up. So let's just start with body image. Body image is defined as the subjective image that people have of their own bodies. And it's also made up of their beliefs, thoughts, perceptions, feelings, and behaviors. Poor body image in particular is characterized by someone who believes that they don't have like these desirable, societally desirable traits, largely physical, such as your weight, your height, how you appear on the outside. When we look at eating disorders, this is something that I think is quite taboo, but we want to shine a bit more light on it. It's actually a psychiatric disorder that is characterized by anomalous eating patterns. Anomalous meaning abnormal, basically. So the two main ones are anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. And what we found some statistics whilst we were doing our research, and it was quite shocking that anorexia actually has the highest mortality rate of all psychiatric disorders. And between the year 2000 and 2018, the prevalence of anorexia actually doubled. In Singapore in particular, if you look at the age group here, which is 12 to 26, I mean, I think for that's like adolescents, that's young adult. For many of us here who are maybe still going through it or have gone through it, that was quite a difficult time in our lives when you are figuring out, you know, who you want to be both inside and out. So this is where most eating disorders occur. In Singapore in particular, 7.4% of women in that age group has a likelihood of developing an eating disorder. And, you know, we talked a lot about COVID and the pandemic. That's quite a theme, of course, for the last 2 years. We actually found that in last year, SGH, which runs the most long-standing eating disorder treatment program in Singapore, saw a 15% increase in cases during the pandemic. So I'm just going to hand to Jeremy now to talk you through some of the group counseling specifically.
Okay, so what exactly is group counseling, right? Well, in summary, it is when a set of members are put in a group for a number of sessions following a session plan led by a leader or counselor. In this group, members can share their own experiences. In this case, regarding our problem statement, adolescents struggling with eating disorders need that platform to share their feelings and experiences transparently. It will give them unique opportunities to see and hear, to be seen and heard by other people who also struggle with similar experiences. Progressively, this will reduce anxiety, fear, shame, guilt, alienation, loneliness, and a sense of powerlessness. Julian D. Ford, a clinical psychologist, actually indicated in one of his publications that group counseling is indeed more efficient and beneficial than individual counseling, specifically when we target adolescents. Now, I'll pass the time over to Jermaine to share and explore some of the sources that we have found.
Oh, hello. Our group did some research on how group counseling is an effective treatment for eating disorder. So a study was done on 75 people who were diagnosed as anorexic or bulimic and who also attended group counseling. In the counseling sessions, they talk about self-esteem, nutrition, coping skills, and body image, of course. At the end of the counseling sessions, 70% of the members gave positive feedbacks, such as feelings of safety in sharing their issues. In fact, on a 7-point scale, the average response was a 5. Members also shared that they can openly talk about what they are going through without being judged, gaining very invaluable experiences and interpersonal skills to help them confront unhelpful behaviors and thought process to improve their overall quality of life. I'll pass the session back to Jeremy.
For this source that we found, Lazaro from the Department of Psychiatry in a hospital located in Barcelona, Spain, what he did was to actually do a study to evaluate 160 adolescents eating disorder patients. They received structured group therapy for developing self-esteem and social skills. After it was over, the members felt more accepted with who they really are, giving them the security they once yearned for. Now, I'll pass the time over to Judith. She will be diving into the session plans.
Hi, I'm Judith. we did conducted a study actually. It was conducted in Ankara from 2014 to 2015. And we saw the effectiveness of positive psychology and positive psychotherapy in this group of adolescent girls aged between 14 to 15. The sessions were 90 minutes and it was a 10-week session, 10 weeks, once a week. The first session basically focused on to set expectations for the group and also to introduce participants, and we also touched on the objective to create awareness of their body image. For the second session, an activity was conducted. It was what I can change and what I cannot change. So we got the participants to actually draw out a diagram of their body, what the best they can do. And this is important. It helps to raise awareness of any behaviors that arise, how they perceive their bodies. Session 3, the focus of this session was to create awareness around participants' past experiences, the ones that influence them, that mold their body image thoughts. And here you could look into media. We did look into media and cultural values. For session 4, the participants were taught to recognize cognitive control and how it's related to our negative automatic thinking and thoughts. Session 5, participants were also asked, in the same context of media and social pressures, they were asked to actually have an idea of what these media and social pressures portray the ideal body image. And then consecutively after that, we asked them to create their own ideal image in contrast to the unrealistic image portrayed by the media. And the sixth session, the focus on this session was to develop skills and coping strategies when participants receive negative feedback. So for this session, they're also taught to listen to their inner voice and to remember that each body is different and to embrace the physical size differences. I'll pass you over now to Stephanie to do the other sessions.
Thanks, Judith. So for session 7 and 8, they incorporated a drama as a study to help participants to better understand how to cope with negative feelings and the thoughts of their bodies, and also how to develop develop more of the positive internal voice in relation to how they feel and view their bodies. In both sessions, they got participants to learn how to express gratitude to their bodies for the functions it already possesses. They did this by getting them to write a letter or do another activity to create this awareness on their bodies and what it can provide for them. Next slide. For session 9, participants were asked to create a life purpose for their body based on the awareness they had gained during the last few sessions. They also spent time re-looking at the activity they did in session 2, the what I can and cannot change activity. But this time around, the leaders had filled this activity with positive feedback for each person that they had learned along the way. Next slide. For session 10, as this was the last session of the program, participants were asked to share feedback on the changes and the development they had seen in themselves throughout the program. They also discussed on long-term and short-term goals on how to continue to develop positive body image. Next slide. So basically, after 10 weeks and 10 sessions, the study showed there was a significant improvement in coping strategies and positive body image in the experimental group compared to the control group for this study. So now I will just hand you back over to YJ, who will wrap us up with the conclusion.
Thanks, Steph. So I'm just going to conclude quickly. Hang on. So in conclusion, we found that group counseling is an effective form of therapy for adolescents with eating disorders, especially relating to poor body image. There were far better clinical outcomes than like your individual therapy and family therapy. And I mean, that connects back to what we were talking about when we spoke on the efficacy of group counseling. The results actually go beyond the psychological outcomes. As you all might know, eating disorder is not just something that's psychological, but it's biological, because a lot of these patients, they lose so much weight that it becomes dangerous for their health and their organs start failing. So the results that we found with group counseling, there were biological outcomes too. So there were two things that we wanted to talk about as well. So yes, of course, we agree that it's effective, but the one key thing we found is that, as with any other counseling, the dynamic between the counselor and the group is key. Especially when you're working, I think, with younger people and you want them to be vulnerable and open up, we need to make sure that the right counselor is involved in that group session. We also found that more research needs to be done around the causes of eating disorders. Yes, poor body image is one of the causes, but there are a lot of other things because it is still quite a taboo subject that hasn't really been researched. So things around advertising, around our use of social media, and I think this is probably quite relatable for a lot of us here, which is the cultural backdrop of it all. You go to your family gatherings and all this, and people are always making comments about how you look and things like that. So the cultural aspect should be considered as well. So with that research, we think that the treatment programs in group counseling should be tailored based on the causes so that it's more specific for the participants. Yeah, and that's it. I wanted to leave you guys with this very long paragraph. You don't have to read it now because you all have the slides, but we found it really impactful in terms of showing how effective group counseling was for this participant of the group. Thank you.
All right, well done. Yep, okay, go straight to the mock-up group session. Yeah, I will make a comment later. Yeah, all together. All right, nice. Okay, over to you.
Okay, sorry. Thanks everyone for your earlier sharings. It's great to hear how you guys have been coping and leaning into each other. For this session, I was hoping we could discuss your thoughts and feelings about how body image is represented in the media and how that actually makes you feel.
I guess for me, the media always perceives men to be masculine, huge, with muscles and all. And for my body type, I'm not and don't think I ever will be. And I guess I was okay with it, like till I saw a post and how the TV actually displayed men as. And I guess that has been one of the reasons why I've been quite insecure in the recent years. And
yeah,
I guess that's why I'm here, to find closure, to know if anyone feels as unaccepted as I do.
yes. We hope everyone feels that this is a safe and accepting place for you to be who you are and to share. We'd love to hear what shows have you been watching and the examples on how it made you feel.
I don't think there's a specific show, but across most of the shows I've seen on TV, I was always rather unhappy with how my body looks because men are told to look a certain way, and I'm certainly not like that. As an example, maybe I don't like how my legs are so long.
Is it correct for me to say that you find yourself comparing how you look to what they show on TV, and that might be causing your unhappiness and insecurities?
I think I feel the same as Jeremy because I have been watching a lot of Korean dramas and all the lead characters are tall, slim, and fair, everything which I'm not. So it makes me feel that the world perceives tall and slim as pretty beautiful. And it really just makes me feel really small.
So, Jermaine, could I get you to share more about what you meant when you said that you felt small?
It feels like I'm very unimportant because I'm just not good enough. I cannot express my opinions openly, and I feel that I will get judged and rejected by others if I do, simply because I'm just not pretty enough. Like in all the Korean dramas, only the pretty people have friends and relationships, etc. And so I sometimes feel that maybe if I was prettier, then maybe I will also get all those things. I don't know. Maybe you're right. I might be comparing myself to those people.
I wonder, who else in this group also finds themselves comparing to what they see on TV or even maybe Instagram?
I think I'm fine now. I did go through some things like that, but I'm fine now.
It's good to know that you're fine, you're feeling okay now, but can you share more about what experience you're talking about?
So, for example, in the past, I used to get angry and upset with my aunt every time she calls me chubby. But now I've learned to ignore her. It doesn't bother me anymore. You know, like last week, she and a few relatives came over and they started to ask me if I had a boyfriend. And when I said no, they told me that boys only like skinny girls, that's why. So I need to lose weight in order to get a boyfriend. Well, it's okay when they said it. I mean, I still don't like it when they make hurtful comments like that. But I guess it's okay.
It sounds like the things your relatives said caused you some hurt. But however, I wonder if you're truly okay seeing that they did hurt your feelings last week.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just trying to accept me for who I am. But of course, I still get irritated when people say things like that.
Perhaps you may be open to share with the wider group, what do you do? What do you try to do to accept you for who you are nowadays?
No, I don't think I can talk anymore.
So like even in school during PE lessons, no one wants me on their team because they think that I am fat and I can't run fast enough. And it makes me feel very out of place because it means that nobody wants me in their team and I can't participate in any of the games like volleyball or track and field, things like that.
I'm so sorry that this is happening to you in school and that you're feeling lonely and out of place.
You know, even my own parents think that I shouldn't be eating so much. Yeah, you know.
So I hear a slight commonality between the two of you about how it's not only the media, but also your family and relatives that can make you feel insecure and hurt about your body image. Now, I wonder if anyone else in the wider group is having the same experience or feelings about their family, friends, relatives, maybe making them feel about their body image.
I guess I can understand how Jermaine and Anita feels. I guess my relatives are always making comments about the way I look. First, I was too fat, and then now they say that I'm too skinny. So I don't know what anyone wants from me. So now I've just stopped going to any family gatherings at all because it just gets a bit too much. It's just too much.
YJ's point really hit me. I feel the same. But in my case, it's the complete opposite. Being too skinny in my relatives' eyes, yes, that's another problem, I guess. I really hate feeling this way.
Yes, I know how frustrating it can be at times to try and feel better, but struggle to actually feel better about yourself. Remember, I shared with you guys in the previous sessions that when I was a teenager, I too had a battle with what people thought I should look like and what I actually look like. Jeremy, if you could just give us a minute to come back to you, I just wanted to ask YJ first. YJ, could you explain a bit more about what you meant by it gets way too much?
You know, it's just like all the different emotions I feel when I see them or I speak to them, and all the things that they have to say.
I sense you are very deeply hurt by the things your relatives say.
Yeah, but it seems everyone here gets hurt one way or another by their relatives, right? Jeremy also said he felt the same. Maybe you can ask him.
Sure. So Jeremy, you mentioned that your relatives makes comments about how skinny you are. And earlier, you also mentioned how the media makes you feel too skinny to be a man. I wonder, with all this negativity around you, could you maybe name 3 things about yourself that you like at this very moment? It can be physical, it can be characteristics, it can be anything. Just 3 things that you like about yourself at this moment.
Wow, that's hard, but I'll try. I like my smile, I guess. I'm really compassionate and empathetic as well.
Yeah, that's a great start. Maybe let's go around the room and maybe everyone name 3 things about themselves that they like at this very moment. Like I said, it doesn't have to be physical. It could be a characteristic or it could be anything else.
Oh, that's a tough one. I guess I make people laugh. Yeah. And I like that I'm tall too. That's it.
Maybe I like my sense of humor and my sincerity, and I can't think of another one for now.
I would say I'm a good listener. I'm a good and supportive friend, and people find me funny. Sounds like we are quite alike in some ways, actually.
Yeah, and that's correct. And amazing to hear that everyone also shared about what they like about themselves on the inside rather than what they look like on the outside. So this is a very encouraging step. Okay, we're done, Lawrence.
All right, thank you so much, Group 3. Well done. Wow. I think what I found most impressive for the presentation part was really the contents for that particular group that you guys have researched on. Let me just comment a little bit more about that. It's because it was a very well-balanced group contents. If you go back and take a look at it in your own time, right, you notice that it was balanced because there was an emphasis on the past, emphasis on using drama to reach out to the young people, and even getting them to write a gratitude letter. Wow, I felt that was so neat, so down to earth, but yet the meaning behind that, the intentions behind that was so comprehensive. And let me just make a quick comment about the research that was being shared by that group on SGH. I really appreciated the gang from to get such latest statistics all the way at 2021, right, YJ? 2021? That's correct, right? Let me just comment a little bit more about that. My good friend will tell you the same thing, right? SGH has the best, in our opinion, the two of us, in treating all kinds of ED. You know why? It's because SGH has a multidisciplinary team. I have a privilege of supervising a team member, ex-team member from that team for supervision. Wow, the quality of what they do in helping people dealing with EDs is tremendous. So if you ever have family or friends who are really struggling with ED, this will be a pretty good program for you to refer them on to. Got it? Okay. Very good program. I mean, I heard good things about it. I supervise someone who used to be part of that team, so I can safely say it's really very good program for anyone who is struggling with ED to be on it. Good. Thank you so much, Group 3. Well done, well done. Thank you so much. Yeah, all right. Okay, over to Group 4. Wow, steady, Group 4. Yeah, mine already uploaded. Steady. Let me just quickly download. All right. Let me see. Group 4. Okay. All right. Hang on, almost there. Okay, over to you, group 4.
Hi, hello. Just to check, is everyone seeing the slide?
Yes, clearly. That's right. Yes. All right.
Okay, we'll start now. Good evening, Lawrence and everyone. So my name is Nabila, and today me and my team members, Ying Ying, Ek Hong, and Hernie will be presenting to you about grief and loss. Next slide, please.
Sorry, trying to go to the next slide, but it doesn't move. Oh. Sorry. Let me see.
Let me see. It should be. Oh, you're using PDF or you're using.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
Okay. No, but continue.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so yep. As how I mentioned just now, we'll be showing you how group counseling will be effective in helping people to manage grief and loss. Okay, so in this presentation, you will see our research findings, our group counseling session plans, and our group final views and opinions. Okay, so to start, we're gonna define what is loss. So the process of parting with someone or something that is really important or has a meaning to you is called loss. It can come in a lot of ways and it affects us each differently. And grief is usually the after effect of loss. It's intense sorrow, especially caused by someone's death. So point to note, it's important to remember that grief and loss is complex, that we all respond differently to all these changes in our life. There is no right and wrong way to grieve. And then there is no time frame to grieving. Our reactions all depends on how attached we are to what we lost or the person we've lost. And being able to acknowledge and accept the significance of the loss is extremely important, as it will then be able, we'll be able to accept the loss in a more rational way. And even though it's painful, it's important to know that they are natural and part of growing and evolving through life. Okay, so based on our research, the Kubler-Ross grief cycle, there are 5 stages of emotions that bereaved people go through when they are experiencing grief. And that's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So the first stage will be denial, because as you know, loss is very hard to accept. So you will find that individuals will be very, they try to deny the actual loss. So they try to cling on this false and preferable reality. And then second will be anger, because once they realize the hopelessness of the situation, they become very frustrated and angry at the reality that they are very helpless in that situation, that they couldn't do anything. So the third stage will be bargaining. This is when they realize that they can't do anything, right? They try to get out of the reality by trying to like negotiate with God or manifesting internally that they try to give in something to in exchange to not go through that loss. So this is where the individual will cling to irrational hope, and they may find themselves saying things like, oh, if only I could trade my life for theirs, or I'll be a better daughter if God promised not to take my mother away. The fourth stage will be depression, because this is when they realize that all the denying, the bargaining, all is not helping the situation at all. So when they realize the hopelessness of the situation, this is when they resign to fate. And this is where individuals feel tremendous amount of sadness that they cannot do anything. They are unable to move forward. They go into deeper depression and sadness and despair at the recognition of their mortality. Oftentimes, this is the part where all the individuals will be very silent. They try to isolate in their own home. They don't go for social gathering or spend time with anyone. The last will be acceptance, because this is not to say that they are over it or they are okay, but this is when they've learned to accept the reality of the loss. Typically with a calm and retrospective view of the situation in a more stable condition of emotions. So I'll pass over to Ek Hong.
Hi. Okay, and my slide is on, okay, based on our research, Corey explained that group counseling became increasingly popular due to its effectiveness relative to the individual approach. Within the group, members get to gain new insights and practice new skills, example, the grief cycle. And outside the groups, members gain through their everyday interactions outside the group, what it means that they still can communicate and support each other outside of the group. And the next point is offer diversity of the members struggling and conflict, which helps in providing members the opportunity to learn to cope with their problems. Provide a supportive atmosphere where members are able to receive support and encouragement and learn what and how they want to make changes to themselves to become a better person. How group counseling can help. Provides an opportunity for social support in overcoming grief together. And it also helps to normalize the experience by talking about it. It also makes individuals feel heard and less alone, as it is a different kind of validation they get when hearing it from people who have been through loss. Those who are further along in their grief process can be a beacon to those who recently experienced loss, modeling the idea that grief can be worked through. This would give a sense of hope to the group. Sharing tools and resources such as books, podcasts, self-help videos, or even personal ideas that had worked for them. And counselors can provide additional support and a more profound understanding of what individuals are going through. How counselors can contribute to the group. Help participants to accept the reality of the loss, work through pain and grief, encourage participants to take on new roles in their day-to-day life, encourage participants to pursue other interests and relationships to move forward, and inspire participants to cherish and memorialize the people they had lost, prevent participants from spiraling down into further sadness and depression, and to cope better with the loss and grief. And now I hand it over to Ying.
Thanks, Ed Hong. So based on our research, let me share with you how we plan out the group counseling sessions. We plan out a group of 4 fixed participants. We wanted to keep it a small close group counseling group with 6 sessions weekly. Each session will be 2 hours. So at the first session, the counselor would set some ground rules, of course, establish confidentiality, and also encourage the participants to begin by sharing their stories. So the first session is really to get everyone comfortable with each other, and also to set the expectations on what they want out of the whole 6 sessions. From session 2, once we are done with the introductory and some brief sharing of their stories, to begin session 2, counselor will first check in on the participants to ask them how they felt regarding the last session as a continuation, and then also give participants a chance to express any thoughts or unresolved issues from previous session. If the previous session, there were some outstanding topics. Participants are also encouraged to share what are the progress or difficulties that they have experienced during the week. The counselor will make some observations from that, as well as dive into more in-depth about the details of their grief and stories. So for session 3, where we dive into the feelings of grief, group members will be given a clear understanding of the effects of grief. So this is tapping on the professionalism and experience of the group counselor in guiding the members on what is actually grief and what to put their feelings into words, and get them to understand what their feelings and their emotions. So members are encouraged to share with the group the different feelings and how they are coping with it. So in this at this session, if there are participants who have experienced grief for a longer period, they can actually share and model the idea that grief can actually be overcome because they have went through the initial stages of grief, and they might be in a more comfortable stage as compared to those who are fresh grievers. Yeah. So in session 4, the group counselor will share coping strategies, how they can perform self-care and learn to cope with the emotion. So the benefit of a group counseling is really that within the group, they will be able to share relevant resources, experiences, like books, videos, and they can also share their ways of self-care, both emotionally, physically, psychologically, and interpersonally. So emotionally, it means expressing feelings, seeking help, being kind to themselves, and aware of what triggers them to feel the grief. Physically, will be very basic physical skill sets like getting quality rest, healthy diets, avoiding alcohol, do more exercise. Psychologically, the counselor would guide the group in setting goals, as well as engage in some activities that will help to actually bring the group members out of their grief, something else to distract them as well, to refocus their feelings to something else that is more positive. And interpersonally, of course, is to rebuild relationships. It can be rebuild existing lost relationships, or it can also be to rebuild new relationships even within the group members itself. So session 5, the aim is to gather feedback on the effectiveness of the group counseling sessions thus far, to ask participants if the sessions have been helpful in enabling them to manage their emotions relating to grief. Check in with the participants if there's any improvements to be made, or as well as one key thing is to gather feedback from members, whether there has been area that has been missed out, and whether any group members wish to highlight any particular areas of concern. So the last session, in closing the group counselor will reflect and reaffirm the group's healing process and growth. End of the session by allowing the group to express their gratitude towards and wishes for each other. And the last but very important point is to provide referral and recommendations to the group members on what are the avenues and resources available should they actually if they were to really need more help, or if any one-to-one individual counseling would even to dive in even more would be helpful. So now I pass on to Herney to sum up the whole presentation.
Thank you, Yi. And with that, we conclude that group counseling for grief and loss is very effective, as it makes participants feel belong and heard. It validates their feelings, as the group would normalize the feeling of grief and loss without making the participant feel like they are facing loss alone. Group counseling also encourages participants to support each other naturally, as they can relate and share experiences to help each other out in overcoming grief and paint a brighter future together, giving hope. The reality is that you will grieve forever, but you will heal and rebuild yourself around the loss you have suffered. That, ladies and gentlemen, what my group and I wanted to share with you. If you move on to the last slide, I would like to leave you with the quote from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, as I said earlier, that the reality is that you will grieve forever. You will not get over the loss of a loved one. You will learn to live with it. You will heal and you will rebuild yourself around the loss you have suffered. You will be a whole again, but you will never be the same, nor should you be the same, nor would you want to. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. All right. Excellent quote. I'll come back to this quote later. Yeah.
Shall we move on to the transcript?
Yes. Please do. Go for it.
Okay. Just to check, can everyone see the transcript?
Yeah. Thank you. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. So, hello, everyone. My name is Rani. I would like to thank all of you for joining this virtual group counseling. How's everyone doing?
Fine, I guess.
So before we begin, I want you to know that it is not easy to deal with grief and loss. Sometimes it helps best when you know that you're not alone and you don't have different feelings and others people have been having. I know this as I've gone through grief before, and I know how important this is to you to talk about it and talk it through. I want you to know that everything we share is kept confidential. This is a safe place for everyone to talk. The group has agreed to keep all this confidential, yes?
Yes.
Right, whenever you're ready, you can start.
How about I go first?
And your name is?
Oh, my name is Hong. And when I was 19, I lost my mom due to cancer. She battled for 2 years and had to go through the maximum amount of chemotherapy allowed for a person. I was 17 when she had cervix cancer. I can still remember the days where I followed her to the private hospital to get her chemo done. Day by day, she got weaker. I could see the chemicals affecting her. Till today, I could still remember how it actually felt. The day she died, it was an early morning. She called for my father to clean her because she had a thing for cleanliness. My father went to grab some hot towel. To his despair, when he returned, she lay there motionless, not breathing. My father ran to my room. He said to me, "I think your mom passed on." I followed my dad into their room, checking out her pulse. My mom felt warm, but her heart had stopped. As the minutes passed, my mother became colder. Reality kicks in. This time, what went through my mind was, she was really dead? How is this happening? This can't be true. I'm not ready to lose my mom just yet.
I'm sorry to hear, Hong. It must be hard for you at a young age to lose your mom. 2 years. I wonder how you cope in those times.
Well, those times were tough for me. I was in the middle of my studies, and I was very tied down with the day-to-day responsibilities of taking care of my mom. For example, bathing her, sending her to chemotherapy. As a result, my studies suffered. Eventually, I couldn't focus, and therefore I left school. In my heart, I felt that I failed as a son because I couldn't complete my studies. On the other hand, I felt it was necessary to take care of my mom. I felt conflicted as a son. At that age, I don't know what I went through was right or wrong. I actually felt lost.
That must be tough for you. I can understand it's not easy to juggle between studies and caring for your sick mom at a young age with no guidance, but also you find yourself in a dilemma. Does anyone have similar experiences as Hong? Could I invite the group to share your experiences?
Hi, my name is Nabila. I am still grieving over the loss of my baby. I was really looking forward to becoming a mom. It had been my dream. I've always thought that having a baby would complete a family.
Could you tell us more?
Well, my husband and I, we've been trying to have a baby for the longest time. Ever since we got married, we shared the same goal of growing our family. We kept trying, and finally, after 4 years of waiting, I actually got pregnant. We were excited. We had planned out everything, from her name to her nursery. I even bought all her clothes and hung them ready in her room. We were all set and just waiting for the time for me to deliver. However, at 28 weeks, when we were just going for our routine checkup, my gynae, she told us she couldn't see any movement or hear the baby's heartbeat.
I understand how you feel. I myself went through 2 miscarriages. It took me a while to heal. However, with the love and continuous support from my husband, he has given me the strength not to give up hope, to look at life in more positive ways.
Oh dear. I'm really so sorry to hear that. As a mother myself, I can't imagine having to go through what you just went through. How did you and your husband get through it?
It was tough for me, especially. You know how everyone kept saying how the pain will go away once you see your baby's face and hear their cry for the first time? For me, it was nothing like that. I had to give birth to my baby nonetheless, you know, and because I didn't want to go through with the cesarean, I had to go through the natural birthing process. And that's the hardest part for me, having to still go through all that process when knowing that my baby has passed on. The whole experience completely shatters me. And I'm sure definitely it's tough for my husband too, having to see me and my baby going through all of that.
Wow, Nabila, I may not understand what you went through, but I can really empathize with your pain.
Yeah, it's not something I'll wish on anyone.
Nabila, my heart goes out to you. How are you and your husband doing now? Are you still trying for a baby?
To be honest, this is why I'm here today. I am deeply traumatized from the experience. I am still trying to move on. However, I do not think I am ready yet to try for another one. My husband is taking it slow too. We are both in the process of recovering from that devastating event.
Thank you for being so honest. I'm glad you are here acknowledging your trauma and willing to talk about it. There seems to be sadness in this group right now. Do you have something you want to share? Your good name is?
Hi everyone, I'm Ying. Actually, I share a similar experience with Hong. My dad passed away from liver cancer when I was 32. We found out about his cancer when I was expecting my son. To this day, I remember vividly that my dad assured me that he will be there to witness the birth of his grandson. He gave us the strength to stay strong. So in the absence of my sister who is overseas, I took on the primary responsibility of liaising with my dad's chemotherapy sessions, all the communications with the doctors in the hospital, and accompanying my dad to the hospital with my mom.
Yeah. I hear you and Hong shared the same grief. I'm glad to hear that you and your dad had a close knit and that has given you the strength to stay strong. It has been 5 years since your dad's death. How do you feel now?
Yeah, 5 years. Today, I believe I have accepted my dad's death. I feel it's a relief of pain for him. I also count my blessings that we were given close to 2 years to spend quality time with my dad and also manage our emotions in preparation for my dad's release. Having said that, I know my mom and my sis have some regrets about not being with my dad at the exact moment when he left us. He was in the room himself. However, I choose to see this differently. I wonder, did my dad deliberately choose to live quietly and peacefully so as to minimize our sorrows? I'm not sure, but I choose to see. I hope that's true. And what I found to be very heartening is my elder son, the grandson who my dad managed to see the birth of, still recognizes and remembers his Akong. He also shares with his younger brother, who has not had a chance to meet his Akong before, that Akong was sick and now he has gone up to the sky. He's in a better place with no pain. Yeah.
I admire your positivity, Yingi. How you choose to view the situation is truly admirable. I wish I had your strength to view mine in a positive light, but right now it's really hard to see.
It's nice to know that you found closure and to hear that you and your son can look back and reminisce about the time spent with your dad, and hearing your eldest son sharing about his Agong life journey with his brother. That must be comforting. All right, guys, we are getting close to ending today. How would the group like to close?
With all my heart, I'm grateful to be part of this group. I hope that we can pull through these tough times together, and I feel today's session somehow brought us closer.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I agree with you, huh? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you too, everyone. It was hard for me to open up, but I'm glad I've put it out there.
Thank you, everyone, for being vulnerable and strong to share your stories.
Thanks, Annie.
All right. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Group
yeah,
4.
done.
Yeah, thank you so
Okay.
much. Right. Yeah. Very, 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 very personal stories, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to ask whether were some of these stories personal, but I could sense that some of them were. Yeah, that's right. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Group 4. Let me just make a quick comment about the presentation. I will talk about the transcript. Yeah, Group 4 mentioned something that was very close to my heart, which was the 5 Stages of Grief by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, a lady whom I look up to a lot. I read about her work quite a lot. Some people even say that her work is no longer relevant, which I fiercely say otherwise. So yeah, for those of you who are thinking about going deeper to do grief and loss, she will be one of the iconic figures that I hope you can go and study more under. Never think that her ideas are outdated. In my opinion, it's still very much relevant till today. So that's one. Number 2, I wanted, I very much was very moved by the last slide, which the group shared about Kubler-Ross, about we'll never ever be whole, right? But we'll find a way to live with the loss. My friends, I hope this is something you can remember, because the world tells us that we should forget the loss. We should somehow move on by forgetting our beloved deceased. I beg to differ. I think if someone that's passed on is so dear to us, why do we ever want to forget about them? I don't think so. So I think for us, we have to find a way to remember them and to continue living, isn't it? And that is a struggle that I think all of us will have to find a way to go through. Right? But that's something that I hope we can remember. So that slide, that the end, the last slide that Hernie shared at the end, I hope that's something that will give us all encouragement for those of us who are dealing with losses. The pandemic has took away a lot of things from us. I just want to quickly comment on losses need not just be limited to losing a dear one. The pandemic has took away a lot of losses in terms of hopes and dreams. I remember I was just seeing a family who came to see me. Yeah, and there was this particular boy who was telling me in the family session how he wanted to go to Malaysia to see his akong. And they couldn't because of the pandemic. And the akong passed away. Yeah, and so I think there were so many hopes and dreams that were being taken away by the pandemic. Sometimes it could be due to death. It could be due to an ambition. It could be due to a job that we love so much, but because of the pandemic, we are made redundant because of the pandemic. Yeah, so losses need not always have to be losing someone dear. It could even be a job, hope and dream and stuff like that. So let's take time to really give voice to the losses we have lost during the pandemic. Okay? All right. Thank you so much, Group 4. Yeah,
Thank you, Mr.
for
Lawrence.
touching on such a very, very
Thank
good,
you.
very personal topic. Yeah, for all of us. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Maybe you can go for 5 minutes break. Okay, just to go toilet, drink water, and just settle our emotions. We will come back and we will continue. How's that?
Group 5 documents uploaded already on the chat.
Roger, thank you so much. Thanks, will do.
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, good. So 855, you'll pick it up from there. Oh, thanks. All right. Back, shall we?
Okay, here we go.
All right, over to Maning.
Yes.
For Group 5.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I guess I will start. Please let me know if my screen acts weird, like it freezes, because it has happened to me on Zoom before.
Okay.
So anyway, Anyway, thank you everyone for your very touching the transcripts, everything. We wow, now I feel pressure already. So anyway,
No
hi
pressure, no
everyone.
pressure. Yeah.
Group 5 here. I'm Man Ying, and our theme is effective group counseling for teenage girls with a smoking habit in a school setting. Oops, sorry, hold on. So our agenda are very straightforward like everyone else. Suba will do the introduction, and then after that, myself and Chris will do the literature review, and Maggie will do the contents of the group counseling sessions, and we'll end with Agnes concluding with observations, analysis, and recommendations. So I'll just start. Suba.
Hi, I'm Suba here. So I shall start.
Mani, I think your screen is freeze at the first page.
Yeah, next slide.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, this is what happened. Sorry, yeah. Ayo.
Sorry.
Let me try this instead. Hold on. Okay, do you see anything? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So I'm going to start with the introduction. So although rates of smoking have dropped globally, it's still a persistent problem in many countries, with nicotine being known to be one of the topmost causes of diseases and death all over the world. Smoking cigarettes causes many adverse effects on the body. Some of these can lead to life-threatening complications such as stroke, heart attack, cancer, respiratory problem, and many more. The majority smokers begin smoking as early as the age of 18 years old. In an article, out of 321 smokers in Singapore aged between 18 and 21 years who start smoking in their teens, 63% first leads up between the age of 15 and 17 years. 1/3 of those surveyed started between 12 and 14 years of age, while 4% took their very first puff when they were even younger. It is widely accepted that the nicotine in cigarette is highly addictive, and people struggling with mental health issues often turn to cigarette for a reason that goes beyond their addictive qualities. For instance, many people smoke as a coping mechanism to deal with difficult feelings. In addition, despite their negative health effects, cigarettes are still largely viewed by society as an acceptable addiction in comparison with other substances. This is where counseling plays a big part in helping the teenagers to help them curb the habit at the early stages before it becomes a chronic addiction issue later in their life. So now I'll hand over to Muing for the next slide.
Thank you. Sorry, let me hide panel. Okay, sorry. Okay, so yes, thanks Suba for that. I'll talk about the literature review at this point, but first I need to set up a little bit about our context. In our case, we have essentially 4 secondary school girls that were caught smoking, and the setting is Woodlands Ring Secondary School. We talked to some people there to find out more info. So this case, this part of the literature review actually is to help to argue about the effectiveness of various counseling methods to help stopping smoking. So it's been found that behavioral counseling and medication are actually the most common ways to disrupt nicotine addiction, and they're even more powerful when used together. So behavioral counseling can essentially can be anything that, like for example, using self-help materials to make goal setting, to making the students contract to a certain behavior, for example. So essentially, they do increase the youth smokers, achieving successful cessation. But we have to take in mind that these interventions must provide these smokers with practical tools along with support and encouragement. and actually also teach them how to recognize and cope with high-risk situations. So that means anything from the counselor's tool bag that is appropriate and useful at this point, whether it's using CBT or motivational interviewing, even mindfulness practices, and especially psychoeducation activities, right? Anything that can be helpful, can be used, because now that we have the framework, right? It should help us be more effective. The other thing we found out is that group therapy actually definitely is found to be more useful than self-help. And the combination of group therapy and individual therapy sessions actually is even better. However, they haven't found out which one is more effective, whether group or individual therapy is. In any case, we'll move to Chris to continue talking about the benefits of group therapy. Chris?
Hi, evening everyone. Okay, for the group counseling intervention, it has been shown to be efficient and effective in delivering the informations and treatments and reaching out to the students before they need remedy treatments for more serious mental health problems. So it's always good that we believe that we should start, at this stage where they need it most before they become even more independent and and go out of control from here. And it's shown to improve academically performance as well. So it helps in the whole well-being of the students itself. So giving them to feel that they want to become a better person and be able to want to achieve something for themselves indirectly. So the good counseling has advantage over others' mortality. This is under the Center for Substance Abuse Treatments. And you can draw upon the group resources in terms of experience, information, and peer feedback. So in this group setting, right, they have the chance to actually share the experience, which is very related because they are experiencing the same school background in a way. So they are able to share, based on their same age group, around same age group, that their experience could be facing from the stress from work or from family. It could be the same. So this is a close sharing for them, and provide a group setting that can provide structure and feedback and control one use of substance. Hopefully that with this group setting that they can actually help to overcome the smoking and be able to be the support for each other. So this is the setting that we are hoping that this group counseling will be able to provide for them. This platform will be able to provide for them. So, and allow the members to gain more esteem by helping and learning from each other. So if they feel that they can help each other and provide that, somebody to depend on, and there's somebody to help them, they will not feel alone from the situation itself. And provide practice in creating supportive relationship. So this is the relationship building, so they can have more positive friends as well, and people who have gone through the same experience with them, and offer hope and encouragement to break free from the substance. So in continuous of the group support, where they learn that their friends has encountered the same experience and they are able to overcome it, and they believe they will give them hope that they too can overcome it as well. And 5 of the Yalom's and Lash out of the 11 therapeutic factors for the group therapy effectiveness, we have named 5 here, which is instilling hope, developing socializing techniques, interpersonal group learning, group cohesiveness, and cohesiveness. Okay, so to instill the hope, so that we are to develop the optimism for their own improvement, so that they will be more positive in wanting to be better. And then the development of the social techniques is the environment to foster the effectiveness and effective communication. So within this safe place, they can actually talk to each other about the problem they are facing. Cohesiveness is the building of the trust, the belonging, and the together that they are experiencing as a group itself. coherence is to release the strong feeling of the past and the present experience. So sometimes they might find it hard to tell people what they experience where other people have not gone through, and they might feel that they are being judged. So in this group setting, they might feel safe enough to actually express their, to talk about their experience and express their feelings. So interpersonal will also be, so in the personal learning itself is to gain their own, improve on their own learnings, skills through feedbacks by other members, and also in the environment that they are interactive, they are more effective manner. Okay, so so this therapeutic demonstrate the advantage of using the group rather than individual therapy. So what's the benefit of the group itself? So as I mentioned, so as a group, they offer collective wisdom and hope. So this is to bond them together and are able to provide information, affirmation, and lone counselor would not be able to do. So sometimes instead of just listening from an adult telling you what to do, listening from the co-peers will help them to understand it a bit better, and they will not feel that they are being judged. And members will be able to relate shared existential issue and find solace and share emotional release from the time they are together. So this is where they are on the same platform. They have gone through the same experience of maybe even why they become a smoker in the first place, why they actually pick up smoking in the first place. So next slide. Okay, so for the Centers of Substance Abuse Treatment, right, recommend that the group members to be chosen based on the fit with the group, the level of interpersonal functioning, motivation to abstain from substance abuse, stability, stage of recovery, expectation of success. So for a group that is being built up, the counselor would have a pre-screen the goals, assess them on the prospective attitude, their ability to build relationship to help each other, and the level of addiction are not too extremely different to be disruptive for the group processes. Yeah. So in this case, the girls forming this group should not be severely addicted. And the goal of the group therapy is to get them to help each other to reduce or quit smoking as the corrective project together for 6 weeks. So individual group counseling will be considered when the students need more support. So from the individual counseling, there will be also like, to their individual consent, whether they would like to have their family members to be involved as well, like parents or siblings. So that will be outside the group therapies that will be provided, the group counseling that we'll be providing. So next, I'll hand over the time to Maggie to talk about the 6th session that we'll be conducting.
Thank you, Christine. Okay, the content of the 6 group counseling sections adapted to the school context from the synthesis of various programs with a mix of psycho-educational activities supported with the interventions based in CBT and motivational interviewing modalities. Each of the sections offer activities and discussion designed to enhance the group engagement and is conducted once a week within 1 hour time period. To begin with, in sections 1, introductions are one of the first items. Get the group to introduce themselves and ask the members to pair up and get to know as much as possible about their partner so that they can later introduce the partner to the entire group. There will be also brief discussion on what do you know about smoking. Lastly, there will be homework assigned to the group about the thoughts on smoking. Next, for the section 2. Okay, the group leader will invite the group to play a Kahoot game on smoking, and they will be also asked to share about their thoughts on the smoking, and we will they will also the group leader will also introduce the trans-theoretical stages of change framework, and they will also be showing how to practice the short mindfulness meditation and the awareness skills to stop smoking. Lastly, the homework will be assigned to the group to complete an online short questionnaire about the smoking habit. Followed by the section 3, exploring the changes about smoking, managing the craving and temptation. The group leader display the result of the questionnaire about the smoking habits, and he will elicit the group's ideas about cues and ask them questions on how to manage craving, build self-control at this stage. Questions include what triggers your strongest craving to use, what are some times when you are able to resist craving, how are you able to do that? What might be some additional behavioral strategies that you can use when you have an episode of craving? And also the question to cover about situation where they would be very tempted to smoking and how they build self-control at this stage. I'll move on to the homework that they will be assigned in the section 3 will be practice to identify the pros and cons about smoking and how to wait for each pro and con. There will be a distribution of the pros and cons hands out and explain how to do this exercise by showing the example of one person's pros and cons about smoking. And they will also be explained on the how to weight each pro and cons. Because I will move on to the section 4, challenges about the status on stopping smoking. The girl will be asked to review on their complete handout and compare the pros and cons, both for smoking and for the change. Taking into the consideration of the weights, the group can think more clearly about whether they want to make changes and help them understand the benefits of changing. And 1 or 2 volunteers will be also invited to describe their exercise. And lastly, the group leader will ask the group to reflect back on their ambivalence. In sections 5, the group leader will ask the group to share about their week, challenges encountered, and other measures have been taken besides the smoking, and also invite them to share about their success story for progressions able to stop smoking. Then the leader will also conduct a stages of change pulse check. And lastly, there will be a video on the motivation to quit smoking play to end the sections. Finally, on the section 6 is about moving forward to the future. The topic will be introduced on setting a goal and preparing to change to the group. The group leader will facilitate a group discussion about the goal. They will begin to ask the group about successful goals set in the past to boost up their confidence in setting up a new goal to quit smoking. Of course, the group leader will emphasize that the formation of a goal statement and the change plan is critical in the process of change. If everyone is successful, emphasize that they are on the stage of, they are on a change journey that needs to be continued and will require continued commitment, self-control, action to both leave the old pattern of behavior and create a new healthier patterns of behavior and a new lifestyle. Yeah. Okay, now I'll pass on to Agnes to share about the conclusion part. Thank you.
Okay, Maggie. Despite the fact that teens know the downside and the danger of smoking, there are still many reasons why they still decided to smoke. Example like peer influence and perception of being cool. However, programs for smoking cessation like I Quit help make quitting from smoking possible. And our government has adopted a multi-pronged approach to curb smoking in Singapore. However, the challenge of curbing smoking continue with the rising of vaping, okay, which is now considered as an even cooler and discreet form of smoking, despite being illegal in Singapore. Thus, quitting the smoking habit will be a tough journey for these teenage girls. Many may find it hard to quit permanently and will revert into cycles of quit and relapse along the way. It does take stronger perseverance and support and encouragement to achieve success. Okay, that's the end of our presentation. And following, there'll be some references for our presentation. Let's take a look.
All right, good. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will come back to give feedback later. Well done. Let's go straight to the group session, shall we? The mock-up. Yeah, that's right.
I hope this works properly this time.
Should be okay, should be okay. So far
Yeah.
okay, ma? So far okay, so far okay.
See whether it moves or not. Hold on, wait. Okay. Does it move? Does it move?
Does it move? Okay.
No.
Okay. Your cursor is moving lah. Your cursor is moving.
Yeah,
The screen not moving.
but the text is not. Ayo. Like that.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Okay, one. Can try, can try.
uh,
Okay.
Let me try again.
Let's try. Okay. It's moving. It's moving.
Okay.
Now it's moving.
Okay, let's start.
Okay.
Let's start. Okay.
Okay, steady.
Sorry
Go for it.
for the. Okay.
No problem.
So I'll just start lah. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, ladies. How was your week? I hope you are still slowly cutting down your daily cigarette smoke.
Sir, my body also busy the whole week, so I stay at home most of the time. I never smoke at home because my brother doesn't like it.
So Christina, what is this that your brother doesn't like?
He says smell lah, and I look so alien.
Oh, and how do you feel about your brother saying about the smell and you look so alien?
No more alien lah. I 1 week never smoke already, because of him.
Well, so you mentioned that you didn't smoke for 1 week, okay? So tell me more about how you feel right now.
Sir, I have headache, craving, insomnia, and sometimes I feel anxiety, and so restless and also depression.
Actually, many people don't like the smell, especially when other people are smoking indoors, right? And the emotions from the withdrawal symptoms you all mentioned, not very pleasant, right? So, how is the group right now with this? I wonder if others struggle with that. I see some of you are nodding your head.
Yeah, this week has been quite eventful with some activities taking place in school, keeping me occupied. I didn't even think about or having time for smoking.
Wow. Now, isn't that interesting? How about the rest of you, Agnes, Chris, Suba?
My week has been quite stressful with my school exam, which are coming soon, which is giving me temptation to smoke, as I usually smoke when I feel stressed and anxious.
Mother is so busy with her work. Exams are coming too. I feel so nervous and I keep smoking.
So feeling nervous and you keep smoking?
Yes, feeling nervous and anxious.
Okay. So you feel nervous and anxious.
Me too, feeling anxious.
So all right. So there seems to be a number of emotions here: anxiety, nervousness, stress.
The challenges I have encountered over the last week would be withdrawal symptoms such as headache, insomnia. This has caused me to wake up late to school, and I've been facing troubles in coping with my studies with the exam nearing.
I think the only challenge for me is following through with distracting myself from the triggers to smoke. Sometimes I just feel a bit lazy to do something else like reading a book or watching TV.
Very frequent chest pain, shortness of breath, persistent cough, and persistent hoarseness. I'm also feeling frequent colds. I hate those feelings.
Previously, both of you said that you will listen to music. Do you think this will help?
Wow. Thank you, Maggie, for remembering that interest.
Yeah, okay, I will try.
I will try to
Okay, so let's move on a bit. Now let me show you the stages of change diagram. Okay, pretend to show diagram. Okay, I'd like you to think about where you are in now at the stage of change and share it with everyone in the group later. All right. Okay, so some time has passed.
I would
Maggie,
say,
yeah, go ahead, Maggie. Yeah.
sorry, the screen is a bit blurred. I cannot see the words.
Wait,
What? Yeah. Okay, it's okay now.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say I'm at the action stage. Whenever I feel tempted to smoke, I have been able to distract myself from the triggers with another activities that occupies my mind. Furthermore, I use our group counseling sections as a platform where I can seek support from peers who are going through the same journey. I have also tried reaching out to individuals I know who have been through the same journey as I am now. These are people who have successfully quit smoking for many years. So overall, I feel very good about myself and my journey.
Hey, thank you.
I feel I'm still stuck at the contemplation stage, as I keep faltering on my progress of cutting down due to the stress I've been facing from the preparation of my exams. I was making a good progress by cutting down on the numbers of sticks I smoke. From smoking a pack a day, I was cutting down to smoking 5-6 per day. But now I'm back at square one, and major cause of this would be my stress levels.
Yeah, preparation state, but thanks to my dearest brother, don't want to quit also cannot.
I think I'm at the preparation stage too. I hate the withdrawal symptoms. I want to quit smoking and get back to a healthier lifestyle.
Wow. So thank you everyone for sharing your stages of change with the group. You know, I really want to acknowledge that the time and effort all of you put into the program really to improve your own health and well-being. So, you know, each stage you are at has its unique challenges. So you will have to find the resources to work through it. But I want you to remember you are not alone because you have your group here, you have me, okay? Your family and friends will support you as well, all right? Anyway, we are getting close to ending today. How would the group like to close?
I'm ready to quit smoking.
I decided, Liao, don't give my brother another chance to call me Aliena and say I smell like cigarette.
I'm also ready to quit smoking.
I'm okay.
Wow, thank you everyone. That's great. So I'm very happy to know that all of you will continue to do your work to reduce your smoking habit. Now, before I close the session, I'll be giving everyone a link to a video on motivation to quit smoking. All right. So you can watch the video whenever you find it hard to put those feelings and emotions into words. So keep up the positive change. We will share more the next time we see each other again. All right. Bye-bye. Okay.
Right, thank you so much. Group 5. Well done, well done. Okay, man, steady. Well done. Okay, comments from me. Okay. Now, for the presentation part, I really like a few things that the group did. Number one, the mention of this particular idea called stages of change. Let me sound a bit of goyo to you all, a bit of medicine to you, okay? For those of you who are going to do your next module on addictions intervention, you're gonna me again. And in that particular module, you will find that I will talk at length about this particular concept called stages of change.
So I can use
Number
a slip
two.
paper.
Oh, steady, okay, good. Anyway, so okay, the group also talk about this particular approach called motivational interviewing, which I will talk at length in that particular module as well. So I just felt that the group sort of mentioned things which are very much in the foreground in terms of helping people to deal with addictions, especially smoking addiction. Now, I like for the transcript. Okay, I really like the withdrawal symptoms. I thought withdrawal symptoms in the transcript was very accurate. So my friends, I hope you can begin to appreciate, right, that when a smoker is trying to quit or cut down smoking, it's really not an easy journey for them. So I think our take for this is, I think we should increasingly be empathetic. We should increasingly be acknowledging that it's not going to be easy, because to have those withdrawal symptoms really makes quitting or cutting down really very difficult. Also, I felt I really like the way the group actually show forth the withdrawal symptoms in a very accurate manner. So well done. So well done, group. Okay, good. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well done. Okay, good, good, good. Last but not least, let's move on to group number 6. Yep, that's right. I'm sure it wasn't easy, huh? Group 6 to be waiting in line, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's okay. We'll,
Okay,
make
man.
we'll make it worth your time, even though
All
we
right,
didn't
man.
ask
I'm
for
sure y'all will. I'm sure y'all will. Yes. Okay. So let me just download. Rebecca, I just uploaded already. Let me just download that for myself. Group 6. Sayang key in. One more. Group 6. All right. Okay, take it away, Rebecca.
Okay, thank you very much. A very good evening to fellow classmates and lecturer, Mr. Lawrence. We are excited and grateful to present to you our research on the effectiveness of group counseling on adolescents with depression. So this topic is actually very important to all future counselors who may want to work with youth, because out of every 10 teens that you see out there, right, almost 2 of them have depression, and this is pre-pandemic numbers. So may I present to you my team members, Eugene Chang, Georgina Menon, Jacinta Stephen, Pauline Tan, and Monel Xiao. So they will join me in presenting our research and transcript. So I'll now hand the floor over to Jacinta, and she will start off our presentation.
All right, thank you, Rebecca. So good evening to all. My name is Jacinta. Before I talk about depression, let's understand what's mental health. And it's defined as the state of mind characterized by the functionality of emotional and behavioral well-being, which allows a mentally healthy human to establish social relationship and perform the ordinary stresses of life. So when one fails to meet such criteria, the individual falls into the state of depression, thus stating the impact of depression causing death rates higher on adolescents than other mental health disorders. So therefore, recognizing the symptoms of depression in adolescents is crucial for receiving timely treatment. Next, please. This next slide. Yep. So here's a background research done by the team who drew out the local statistic reports in Singapore, where up to 18% of adolescents were found to be depressed, of which the number were higher among girls than boys. So the research were done between ages 10 to 29, who were of high risk to suicidal cases. So towards the right hand of your screen, as you can see, the timeline of studies done to understand the high number of depression among adolescents were between 2013 to 2020. So in 2019, ChatSG, known as the Community Health Assessment Team, a group of health professionals who perform juvenile mental health assessment outreach program, reported to have received high numbers of referrals and examined adolescents for depression. And in 2020, 452 young lives were actually lost to depression. Now I'll hand over to Pauline.
Thank you, Jacinta. The emotional and mental well-being of an adolescent depends on different factors, especially at this sensitive and vulnerable stage of development. Adolescents at this period of life deal with their hormone changes. They face issues with their self-esteem, body image, and self-identity, and not forgetting the needs to stand out and belong. These are their primary concerns. Adolescents are more prone to developing depression when their emotional support and physiological needs are not met, but at the same time experiencing stress from many areas of their life while struggling with their identity. Depression has a tremendous impact on life of youth because if symptoms are not treated, their personal well-being, academy, and relationship with family may become consequences or even compromised. While adolescent ends is a normal part of growing up, but unfortunately, not everyone can deal with it. Thank you. Pass to the next speaker, Eugene.
Thank you, Pauline. I'm here to introduce to you, first of all, the benefits of good counseling. First up, benefit of good counseling. The most important advantage or benefit of good counseling is the knowledge that while everybody face various challenges and coping techniques, we all share a certain underlying struggles that characterizes us, meaning there could be more than one person facing the same struggles. It makes them feel less alone. Number two, group counseling promotes deeper ties with members. Members has a high level of trust for one another. Group counseling fosters also honesty and openness. It allows members to communicate, challenge even those with strong views. They do not fear being judged. Groups are also very supporting and accommodating to members' differences. Number three, therapists also observe the social differences at first hand in the members. They help them to break their harmful habits and make new decisions. Lastly, hearing from peers is very helpful because peers identify with one another. Next slide. In the research, we found three forms of good counseling available. Number one is working group. This group engage in interpersonal process and collaborative discussions. Member in this group supports one another in the quest of self-awareness with a leader who may be trained professionally to facilitate the conversation. Member confronts each another, back and forth discussion about their issue. This group is also known as growth and experiential group. Number two, support group. Support groups are this group where adolescent meets to discuss why they joined the group, present their struggles, long-term aspiration with a fundamental purpose to motivate each another in their progress for recovery. They may also experience group therapy benefit at firsthand. Member comes and goes, so different groups of people may appear from one session to the next. The third group is called psychoeducation group. This group educate adolescents about their depressions while assisting them to develop a coping strategy and skills. This session occurs once or twice a week, 1 to 2 hours. Adolescent learns about the situation and how to conquer and manage their depression. I pass the next slide to Rebecca.
Okay, yes, thanks, Eugene. And now on to why group counseling is more effective than one-to-one interventions. So in our studies, our comparison studies have shown that evidence that group counseling productively address interpersonal issues in youth as patients reveal problems through the interactions in a group setting. So that allows counselors to observe their relation patterns firsthand, something that one-to-one interventions may not do. So in a US study, data has showed that group counseled students make long-term improvements post-intervention. So that's the second point over here. And this was over a 24-month follow-up. So these long-term outcomes actually improve and continue to improve. Group counseled youth also remain relatively stable in overall functioning. So that's the third point. While youth that went for one-to-one intervention in this comparison study experienced a small but significant worsening in functioning. So let's go on to some numbers, shall we? So this slide displays the numbers associated with group counseling effectiveness. In a German study, researchers found that 73.3% of their student patients were thinking about suicide pre-intervention. So as students went for group counseling, this number drastically dropped to 33%, then 20% post-intervention. And declines in symptom severity were also detected from session 2 onwards. And let's look on the right side of the slide. In the UK study on fostered youth, pre-intervention depression scores were in the moderate range. As they completed a mindfulness group counseling program, youth were in the normal range. So the data shows that group counseling is effective. Now I shall pass the mic over to Wernell.
As such, thank you, Rebecca. As such, I will be sharing on the topics covered per section that is so effective in reducing suicidal ideation amongst our depressed adolescents. And you will notice that these sessions are based on cognitive behavioral therapy, which is proven to be most effective for mood disorders, for example, depression in this case. And so for the first session, adolescents get to know each other through introduction. And this session will be primarily focusing on psychoeducating the youth on depression and depressive symptoms to let the youth understand what they're currently dealing with. And their homework would be to list possible causes of their own depression to understand their own situation, and then conduct positive activity throughout the week to see if this improves their mood. And for the next session, it will be a presentation where the adolescents start to share about an object that symbolizes a certain strength or something they're really passionate about. This helps to reinforce their self-image and remind them of everything that they are capable of, following with a psychoeducation on the causes of depression that adolescents have identified during their session 1 homework. And this is to allow the adolescents understand how to move on from their current cause of depression onto the homework where they note their behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. For the third session, there will be a ball game where the adolescents will start throwing balls at each other. And whenever a group member catches the ball, they have to quickly name a strength. And after the ball session, adolescents get to compliment each other pertaining to each other's strength. This helps to reinforce positive self-esteem, which is obviously lacking in our depressed adolescents. And this helps to alleviate the errors in reasoning. For example, catastrophizing, black and white thinking, and undermining one's capabilities. For the fourth session, it will be based on a case study of a depressed girl in a similar situation as them. As such, the adolescents get to input on how to behave in certain crises as advice to the depressed girl, in which the adolescents get to recognize certain negative thoughts and see how they could try to change them into positive ones. For the fifth session, it will be based on problem solving, and the case study is based on a bullied girl's problem. The adolescents will come together to try to solve her problem by giving advice. The main aim of this session would be to highlight to the adolescents that persons of trust are very important in helping them get through any kind of ordeal in life. And for the booster session number 6, there will be a quiz to the adolescents pertaining to their mood from session 1 all the way to 5. This is to see whether their moods have been improving or are their depression relapsing. And if their depression were relapsing, the counselors should come to attention if the adolescents were able to apply what they have learned from session 4 all the way to 5. And lastly is to give an advice to a depressed boy. And I like to add on that cognitive behavioral therapy works the best when paired with social changes. As such, when adolescents get to apply what they learned from session 4 all the way to 6 on the case studies and their advices to change negative things into positive ones, and how to put all of these things into their own personal life, they are able to alleviate their own depression. As such, I'll be passing on the slides to Georgina to conclude for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanel, for sharing, for passing the time on. So I would like to share on the pros and cons of group counseling. So for the pros, I think in a group setting, the members get to receive support and hear familiar struggles from the peers together. They also get to address more interpersonal problems.
and a sense of more interaction with people of the same age or the same problems. Also, one more of the pros of the group therapy is they get to improve in long-term functioning rather than the short-term intervention. So for the cons of a group therapy, it might not be suitable for everyone. So everyone needs to go through screening before they join the group. And some youths might also need more one-on-one session than group counseling. That's all from us. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, I'll reserve my comments later. Let's get straight to the mock-up session, shall we? Good.
A few technical issues, but let's hop right on over to the transcript.
All right. Fine.
Hello, everyone. How would we like to start off today?
I don't even want to be here. I have no choice but to just sit in this group, and I hope this group doesn't waste my time.
Eugene, you're mute.
Sorry, I didn't realize that. Oh my God, I'm in the same boat. Isn't it unbelievable? My device, they took it. All I want is all my devices back and I will be content.
Would you like to share more on what you just said?
I don't feel like I belong here or even anywhere else at all. No one really likes me. Everyone just makes fun of me.
Could you tell me more about what you said that everyone makes fun of you?
I was actually bullied, or rather ostracized in school. That's why I dropped out. I don't have to see those people anymore, which I thought would make me feel better, but I ended up just shutting myself out from everyone else.
I see. Some of you are also tearing while listening to Vanel. Jacinta, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm constantly nagged at by my controlling mother. She compares me against my friends on their performance despite receiving prestigious national award-winning accomplishments. And my dad is hardly interested in knowing anything about my life because he's always gambling with his friends. And both my parents, they're always quarreling a lot about my dad's gambling habits. I just feel so disinterested in life.
I think I caused my parents a lot of problems and even started feeling angry and agitated all the time. I never wanted to go to school anymore and also cannot hold a part-time job.
Could I say that because of what you both had gone through, you are feeling the way you are now?
Yeah, I think it must be.
How is the rest of the group feeling?
I'm sorry to hear about what Wanel and Jacinta had shared. I'm feeling very hopeless as I can't seem to pass my exams. And my parents keep on nagging me and pushing me to excel. I feel so lost as I do not know what else I can do to pass my exams. My parents don't understand whatever that I'm feeling.
I can really relate to you, Rebecca. I have very overpowering parents, and they just can't stop comparing me with peers around my age. You just name it. My classmates, cousins, or even their friends' children. They always want me to be who they want me to be and not who I am. I can't even make simple choices for what food I want to eat while dining out. I just hate it feeling so helpless and angry. And now I hate going out with them.
Oh, my parents, they are the same. They took my devices, despite the fact they know it means everything to me. It is because I spend too much time with it, they say. But I don't have many pals. My devices makes me feel safe and secure.
So Eugene, what makes you feel so attached to devices that you feel this way about it being taken away?
I got my games. It's nice. I'm into online gaming. My books, my devices, it's my life. It's one place I don't have to engage with anyone. I'm never at ease in social situation, especially meeting new people.
Think that you are kind of an introvert? You can't seem to be able to say the first word to anyone?
I would say somewhat. I feel more comfortable with my devices.
See lah, at least your parents want you to be a little bit more connected to the real world. Look at they install Family Link app on my phone. And every app I wanted to install, their approval are required. It's so embarrassing when I was with my friend, call me a daddy girl. They even set screen time on my phone. They're just a pair of control freaks. And I just feel so suffocated.
I can't help but notice that many of you are actually having difficulties understanding your parents.
I think they are just very, very controlling, and it's really annoying. They have never tried wanting to understand me and just assuming they have my best interest at heart all the time.
Oh, I want my devices back.
I'm wondering if we share these feelings with our parents, will it help us feel less depressed?
It makes me depressed when people keep pushing me to change, like stop staying up late to watch show or play games. It's easy for people to say move on, but don't I deserve time to recover? It wasn't an easy decision to leave poly, but it feels harder trying to commit to another course. I can't just give up halfway again.
Yeah, that sucks. But to answer the question, it would help if I shared my feelings with my parents, but I don't think they will understand.
Nah, I don't want to waste any more of my time talking to them. Tried so many times sharing with them how I was feeling, but every time I got back, they are all the same reply. You'll never make good choices, and we know what is best for you.
I don't think I can survive without my devices for another day. My parents, they never understand.
I see that many of you share the same sentiments about your parents. Perhaps let's do an exercise. Name one thing you're grateful for that your parents did. Maybe Pauline, you can start the ball rolling.
Well, I must say that they do support me in curriculum activities outside of school. But right, every time when I start to lose interest and want to quit, there they come nagging at me and start blaming me for making wrong choices. But they simply do not understand. You never know until you try it, right?
Yeah, same here. But whenever I fail my exams, they will be super harsh on me. But to answer the counselor's question, I think my parents have given me a lot of tuition classes, but maybe too many classes. I feel stressed out all the time.
I'm grateful they didn't kick me out when I told them I wanted to quit poly halfway. They shouldn't have to deal with this.
Well, although my mom is constantly nagging, she's still my go-to person for advice.
It seems that although your parents don't understand you, you know that at the end of the day, if you need some advice, they are the ones that you can count on.
Well, they are the one who they are the one who got me those devices. And they're quite nice. Then again, they took it back.
Exactly. Then when you don't listen, they start threatening you to terminate your data.
OMG. That's what my parents threatened to do too.
I see. So your parents are still supporting you financially in terms of your devices and data plans, bills. In other words, they might just be caring for you by monitoring your screen time usage.
Yeah, I don't think we have a choice.
Maybe for homework, let's do this. List down in your notebook one good thing your parents did to you every day and one strength that you think you have. We can share some of these the next session. All right, let's end here today. I would love it if every one of you could go home and reflect on what we just shared here. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Group 6. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, quick comments before you continue. Yep. For the presentation bit, well, I really appreciated the latest stats about depression among teenagers. Especially the local stats. So that was something I appreciated a lot. Yeah, I also really appreciated the research that was being done on how group counseling can actually lower, depression among young people. So I felt the group did very well. Something to take note. The contents for group sessions, right? The last couple of sessions about giving advice to 2 case studies, you will find that this technique is being used a lot by CBD people because sometimes, right, for young people, if you want them to talk about solutions for themselves, they will say it won't work on. But when we get them to talk about advice to someone outside of them, as they begin to think about those advices, usually they may subtly begin to apply that to themselves. So I really like the contents that was being shared at the last couple of sessions for the contents part. It was well done. Moving to the transcript, I really found the stories to be very real. Why? More often than not, when I see teenagers, they are depressed mainly because of 2 reasons. First, bullying. Second, controlling parents. And I really like how the stories came through. Because as I was listening to the transcript, it got me to go back again to some of the groups that I led for young people who are suffering from depression. Yeah, so I think very accurate portrayal about those lives that has been battling with depression. Yeah, due to controlling parents and also bullying. So well done, Group 6. Well done. Okay. Quick comments before I continue. Thank you so much for all the hard work and dedication they all put in for this particular group project, really. I could see there's a lot of tears, late nights, probably, trying to get the schedules together for all the group members to meet and all that. So thank you so much for all the hard work they put in. Yeah, and I thoroughly enjoyed every single presentation and every single group session that was being put up. So thank you so much for the effort. All done. All right. Okay, that leaves me with a short time just to summarize the last stage of group development, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, or a night rather. Okay, so quickly, All right. Okay, changing gear, I know, but yep. So we should be okay. So last week we spent quite a bit of time unpacking the transition stage as well as the working stage. That leads me now to wrap up. Quite ideal, isn't it? Because this is our last lesson together. So it's quite ideal for us to talk about the final stage for group development. Now, more often than not, right? If your group is able to come to this stage, usually, you can kind of expect that it will be quite an okay ending for most groups. But if you can get to this stage, usually the ending wouldn't be that bad, more often than not. Okay? So a few things to note. Okay. Yeah. So how should we go about terminating a group? Meaning, how should we go about finishing off a group that we have started? First thing to remember, always make sure you allow time for termination to happen. So I say again, make sure that you always allow time, you always allocate time for termination to happen. I remember my first couple of groups, I focused so much on how to start, how to keep it going. I thought, ending, no need to bother much. And boy, did I learn a hard lesson, right? That ending is probably even more important than how we start sometimes. Because if you manage to really create a bond among group members, more often than not, they will want you to help them to end off well, usually. So never assume that ending ain't important. More often than not, ending is important. So I remember one of my supervisors actually mentioned this to me. I always remember this. She always says to me, leaving behind a good aftertaste is as important as beginning with a good appetizer, isn't it? So I don't know, among us in this class, we are foodies, isn't it? So for those of us who are into set dinner or set lunches, So I'm all those, old school one, Jack's Place, Hans, right? So I always love a good appetizer, a hot soup, but I also like a very solid dessert, isn't it? Was that wraps up the meal pretty nicely. And same thing here. Culmination is like a sweet dessert that we hope to leave with the group members as they begin to say goodbye to one another. Okay, good. So a few things to remember about terminating a group. Number one, always make sure you allow time for the group to reminisce about what they went through in all the previous sessions they had together with you. Right? So this is where, as you can see, there's this particular word called reviewing. Right? So reviewing highlights of the group experience. So that's important. Right? And sometimes, right, as the group begins to reminisce about the journey, sometimes we may also want them to express some unacknowledged aspects which they have not been able to say to one another so far. Okay? But this is something that's quite potentially dangerous. But sometimes, right, you never really know whether would a group member starts to say things really personal or starts to tear another group member down. You never really know. So I guess this is where, right, you have to be very, very good in observing up to this point. How has the dynamics been? If you sense that there seems to be some bad blood between some members, right, and now it's payback time, then you may want to put a stop to it by saying to the group or to the members that, oh, maybe we can take it offline. Because we always want the termination stage to be a stage where at least people leave with some nice memories or some encouraging memories, basically. Right? But if you have a sense that the unfinished business is probably nothing that personal, then of course you can allow the members to begin to share that with one another. So that's important. Good. Then of course, moving on. Yeah, this is very, very important. Explore the issue of separation. Means what? Means I normally will want to invite every member to talk about what does saying goodbye to one another today means for you. Now, going back to the final group, the sixth group, right? A lot of times for young people who are depressed, just when they begin to forge some friendships, in a group setting, I'm sure most of you know that if I were to be depressed, the last thing that I would do is to be mingling around or coming out from my shell, isn't it? But for a group who are depressed, to go through all the sessions, to now come to a point where they need to say goodbye, a lot of them may even start to feel depressed all over again. So this is where, right, really allowing members to share what does it mean for them to say goodbye to each other? What does it mean for them to say to themselves, oh, this is going to be the last time they're going to see one of you or each of you? That's something that's very, very, very important. And more often than not, this will actually open up a lot of floodgates for a lot of people, a lot of members, including the leader. So I always remember, by now you all know that I'm quite what's the word to use? I'm quite genuine with my tears more often than not. So I find there were so many groups where, as I begin to get the members to talk about, saying goodbye, I usually will also tear with them more often than not. So that's something to always remember. Good. So after that, what do we do? After that, we want to begin to think about the future. Now, termination should never just be about reminiscing about the past. Termination should never just be about right now saying goodbye to one another. Termination should also include a portion where we begin to look ahead. We begin to think ahead. We begin to envision how will our life be like now that we are leaving the group, possibly permanently. Right? So this is where a few things I will do. Usually, I may want to get the group to start to think about the new roles or the new changes that they are embarking on once they leave this particular group. So the roles here, right, sometimes it applies, for example, for groups that I lead, for example, for parents, right, who are leaving the group because they know that they are going to be adopting a new role as parents to maybe a teenager child who is now becoming a young adult. Right? Sometimes for marriage groups that I lead, it could be that now they're going to leave the group to prepare for another family life stage, meaning they are about to be parents to young children. They are about to be parents to teenagers, for example. This is what we mean by new groups, new roles, basically. So it's to get them to think about how are they going to move forward with these new roles. Right? Sometimes the future can also be right over here. Right? I think it's like coming out with concrete plans, right? Coming out with what? New Year resolutions, or even new quarter resolutions, or new half-yearly resolutions, right? Which they want to begin to act on, as they begin to move forward. Yeah, as they leave this particular group. So these are all important things to do. Okay. Yeah. Then of course, okay, yeah. Sometimes, if the group is really on the ball, right, I may even want them to begin to make contracts where they may want to send the contracts to me, okay, so that I may then want to arrange for a follow-up session 6 months later, 3 months later, where I want to call all the group members back as so-called an accountability session. Sometimes, right, it's pretty helpful because if every member were to so-called put up a contract, leave it with me, and they know that 3 months later they're going to come back together, sometimes that on its own may keep them on track. That on its own may actually keep them motivated to keep doing the changes, to keep persevering, because they know that they do not want to disappoint one another when they come back to the follow-up group 3 months later or even 6 months later. This is something which I've done for not all groups, but those who are quite on the ball one. I found this to be very helpful generally. Okay? Yeah. Then, okay. So very important. So this is where, right, once a group has officially ended, what do? We now have to do what we call follow-up interviews. Okay. And also, why? It's because we want to really hear from every member what was their experience like going through the group sessions with us. Of course, we will also do what we call group evaluation together. We will do that. But more often than not, for me personally, I always find that group evaluation is one thing, individual evaluation is another thing. So I always believe that both are equally important to be done. So that as group leaders, we really get feedback in how we can be improving ourselves moving forward more often than not. Then comes this part. What do we mean by encouraging contact with other group members? So this is where, right, you have to ask yourself as a group leader, are you going to be planning for follow-up sessions? If you are, then this part may not be that important because the group can look forward to coming back 3 months one time, 6 months one time, yearly once, whatever not. So at least they know there's something for them to look forward to in the near future. But if you've decided that this will be the final time the group will meet, there will no longer be any follow-up sessions, no more. What do? This is where, in the termination stage, we may want to ask the group, so how can you guys keep up with one another? How can you guys continue to spur one another on? How can you guys be for each other when there were to be relapses? So this is where we have to talk about this with the group very openly. You'll be quite surprised to know, sometimes, right, the group members, some of them may actually volunteer to say, why not I take over? Why not I be the one that becomes the organizer? Why not I be the one that becomes the planner or whatever not? I'm quite surprised to know that some of these members may just rise up to actually begin to take up those roles generally. This is where, right, sometimes for me, right, if I were to spot 1 or 2 members, right, who have some potential, I may even want to ask them whether do they want to go for some training. So it could be some basic counseling training, it could be some basic group counseling training, so that if they were to be the ring leader, all this training may help them to be able to play out that role pretty well. Sometimes if I'm not too busy, I may just want to take one of them under my wings, just for a short while. Maybe I may want to pop by for maybe their first couple of sessions, just to make sure they're on track before I actually exit altogether. So sometimes I may want to do that if I can spare the time more often. That's helpful. But you have to ask yourself, what is your time commitment like? And how much do you want to still be involved as a result? Yeah, so as mentioned, so arranging for follow-up session, like I said. So it could be a couple of months later and whatever not. So it's really up to you and them and the group to decide. Now, what do we mean by suggesting further work? Now, further work here, right, doesn't always be another group. Further work here could be you may want to suggest to some group members to continue with individual counseling. You may want to suggest for some group members to go for other types of groups. Example, if I've just finished leading a counseling group, I may feel that one or two members may benefit if they continue on with a support group, for example. Or I could even say, for one or two other members, they may benefit going to a psycho-ed group, whatever. So that's what we mean by future work. It need not have to be continuing with the same kind of group. It can be for other groups. It could be even continuing with individual counseling. That could be. But the key thing here is we have to be the one that make the recommendation to the group members and explain to them why is this what we're recommending them to do. Of course, ultimately it will be their choice whether they want to do it or not. But at least for us, we want to be the one that make the recommendation for them to think about things and options. Okay. So this is what we do. This is what I do quite often. That's all. In my yeah, so evaluation, like I was mentioning down to you, so you can read through that. Quite simple. Yeah, that's it, basically. No, Pauline, sorry. Your hair has been there for quite a while. Sorry. Go for it.
No, it's just a quick question to actually recap what you just said, right? That you will get emotional and you shed tears.
I do.
So my question is that is there any threshold, like I know you can display your emotion, but crying in front of your members, does it display like yeah?
Good question. Good question. Good question. Now, you can Google about this, my friends. You will find that up to today, right, there is still an ongoing debate over is there a place for counselors to tear or cry with the client? Now, here comes my view. You can disagree with me on my view. My view is, I think it's perfectly okay for us to tear with our clients. There's a difference between tearing and crying. Difference? When I tear, I'm still in control. But my tears may actually be my way of empathizing with my clients. Now, I don't think I want to be crying because I'm afraid that as I cry, I may begin to lose control, or the things that I say may actually no longer be that helpful. But there's one thing to take note, my friends, is this. If you are a newbie counselor, okay, even tearing sometimes can work against you. It happened to me personally. Yeah. So not that it will happen to you, but I'm just going to share with you my personal experience. Now, I remember I was doing this work for, I think, first year, second year, can't remember. First 2 years of my initial startup as a counselor. I remember there was a client who came to see me and she lost, I think, multiple losses in a span of 2 years. I remember I teared along with her. And after that, she actually made a comment. She didn't say it to me in my face, but she wrote a written feedback that she found the counselor to be incompetent and unprofessional. Right? Sometimes, right, I find that the more senior we get, the more the client give us the benefit of a doubt. You know, just like all of you, very kind. All of you have been giving me a lot of benefit of a doubt because I've been in the field for quite a while. But that doesn't mean I'm always right, isn't it? But you trust me enough to know that what Lawrence Ho is saying more often than not makes sense. Same thing for my good friend, Mr. Lam, isn't it? You give him the benefit of a doubt because he wears a tie, dressed nicely, gel his hair. No, because it's really good in his work, isn't it? But this is where, right, if you are new to this work, sometimes, sadly to say, people don't give us a chance, or people tend to evaluate every single thing that we do, even though we did it out of good intention. And I remember the experience left me quite scarred. And I remember for the next couple of years, I was so mindful about not tearing. And so there were times I felt so constipated, I wanted to tear, really. And I felt that those tears would have made a difference. But I was so, uptight about letting it go. And I think it turns out to be quite fake after a while. Yeah, so I think, so it's something for you to remember that when you're new to this field, you probably have to be a bit more mindful about how you be genuine sometimes. Setting also matters. Lam will probably tell you that if you happen to work in a hospital setting, we probably have to be even a bit more careful about how vulnerable we are. I guess for me, different from him, from day one, I was already in a community setting. Community setting allows me to be a lot more genuine, true to myself, right? But for him, he probably would say, if you were to work in the clinical setting like him, we probably have to be even more controlled sometimes, because we are probably evaluated differently at that setting as well. So I think probably to answer Connie's question, I think something to think about generally. Also, for group counseling, I find that when I lead a support group, the vulnerability from my end becomes well accepted. But if I were to be leading a psycho-ed group, maybe the participants might be looking to me to still be the expert. So even if I were to be facilitating the discussions, I probably may just want to be also a bit more careful in how much I come across to be too genuine too soon as well. So I guess the type of groups that we need probably will determine how vulnerable we can be as well. So support groups, I tend to be very open. Counseling groups, I also am. Psycho-ed group, I tend to be a bit more controlled more often than not. Until I have a good sense that things are okay, then I may be a bit more open with my genuinity and stuff. So something to remember. Good question, Pauline. Okay.
Thanks, Lauren.
No problem. Final questions, comments for me before we call it an evening, and the cost, of course.
Lawrence, what's the logistic for next week's exam?
Good question. Okay, to be honest with you, I'm not very sure. Okay, I suppose, right, Sylvia will probably be emailing you all the details. Okay, one thing is for sure, it will be a closed book examination. It'll be a closed book examination. So I think she will send you an email to let you know the instructions, right? But of course, you'll be done at your own home stuff generally, right? It will be a 2-hour paper unless they change the duration, right? So yeah, so I think they'll probably be emailing you all the instructions.
And Lawrence, what time is the deadline for the written report to be submitted?
Oh, no problem. It will be before 12 o'clock, midnight, next Wednesday. Yeah, that's right. So it should be okay. Yeah, that's right. Cool. Right. Now, let me just say a very personal goodbye to some of you. I know some of you, this will be the final module. I get to see all of you, some of you. Right. So for those of you, this is a final module for you. Let me just say a very personal goodbye to you. Thank you so much for the privilege for me to be a part of your learning. Right. I really thoroughly enjoyed my time. I know some of you, this will be a final module. So thank you so much for the privilege. I hope our paths will cross again in the very near future. Yeah, but if our paths don't cross, I trust that ideas being shared will serve you well wherever you go, be it to change your career into become a counseling. Even not, I believe some of this information will help you in your life journeys ahead as well. Okay, yeah. For those of you who are not leaving the program, then I'll get to see you again next semester for our intro to psychotherapy and counseling. Okay. Yeah, cool. All right, have a good weeks ahead. All the best for next week. I'm sure you will ace it. And I will see you guys again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you,
Take care.
Lauren.
See you all.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Lauren.
Take care.